Easily one of the worst games in recent memory, one of the worst 30 seconds to a minute in memory. I mean, this one was brutal. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's so much to get to. I know some of you are going to be incessantly dooming. And, you know, the team kind of brought that out of all of you. Oh, boy. It's going to be a long one, folks. This is not fun. It's not fun to do these, especially times like this. Welcome back to the fans. Here I'm running with the Devils. We'll be talking New Jersey Devils all year long. Please hit that subscribe button. Smash the like. Share with a friend. Thank you very much. And as you all know, win or lose, we booze. And I was boozing very early into this one. Tonight, we're going with a combination because all-time tragic performances, require sometimes a little bit extra. So tonight, we are going with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Teremana Tequila. Pretty decent for what it is. Teremana Tequila. Win or lose, we booze. Cheers to all of you. This one goes out to this tragic performance. A little bottle shot. Just take in those loser beverages, and we're gonna wash it down with the good old fashioned cerveza Corona. This game was awful. There's a lot to get to, guys, but I'm heartbroken. We get to the goals. It started out good. It's really started out good. Our boy Timo Meier on the power play. What do you know? Timo on power play 1. He delivers down front, down low, gets a couple cracks, gloves it out of the air, puts the puck down, right in tight, finishes. Beautiful stuff from Timo. 6th of the season on the power play, assisted by Bratt and the captain, Nico Hischier, and it was so short-lived. I was feeling pretty good after that Timo goal. I was like, all right. They took the crowd out. Hopefully we get the next one and find a way to win this game in Philly. Finish the road trip 3-2, 6 of 10 points. While, you know, not outstanding, all things considered, winning this game tonight and getting 6 out of 10 on the road trip would have felt pretty good returning home. Clearly that was not in the cards. That is not what happened. It all fell apart. That goal held up for all of 1 minute and 23 seconds. Jake Allen makes a save. He tries to clear the puck. He bats it right to Cates, and he buries it. Now we're at a tie game, 1-1. And after that, I was like, okay, the Flyers started to come on a little bit. And a short while later, folks, it all falls apart. Michkov on a breakaway beats Allen at 12:06. His 5th of the season from Couturier. Flyers now up 2-1, and then they just pour it on and end the game in a matter of literally seconds. Forster scores 9 seconds later from Cates and Konechny, makes it 3-1. And then Forster again 17 seconds later from Cates and Sealer. It's 4-1 in the blink of an eye. People said they went to the bathroom, got a sandwich, let their dog out the back door, whatever it was. In the blink of an eye, 26 seconds. The Flyers tally 3 times, take a 4-1 lead, and that is all she wrote. I believe they said on the broadcast that tied an NHL record, I think, for 3 quickest goals. And I mean, my God, how much quicker could it be? I mean, 3 goals in 26 seconds is just wild, wild stuff. And the Flyers ended it right there. Right then and there, the game was completely over. Devils just completely done. 4-1 after 1. And that's when the Teremana came out. But cheers to all you guys. I'm going to take a little more Teremana for this special occasion here. Absolutely brutal stuff. Cheers to everyone that came out. Win or lose, we booze. And I'm a little heartbroken right now. We'll get more into that in a minute. But 4-1 after 1. Game is over. We go to the second, and then they just add some more. Brink gets his 6 from Couturier at 11:42. Makes it 5-1. Nico gets a pretty nice goal 5 minutes later to cut it to 5-2, but it didn't matter. 5-2 after 2. We go to the third. Nico gets another one on the deflection from a Nemo bomb. Love to see Nemo getting involved. And Bratt with a quiet 3-point night, but who cares, right? Nico with 2 points. We'll get to all that in a minute. But Devils pull the Nico goal was with the extra attacker. And then eventually Zegras makes it all for nothing. Because some people getting excited. 6.5 minutes left. It's 5-3, but it didn't matter. Zegras buries one at 15:21. Game over. 6-3. one of the worst performances in recent memory, honestly. We go to the game stats. Devils 35 shots on goal, Flyers 29. Faceoffs dead even, 50% each. Devils go 1 for 2 on the power play. Flyers go 0 for 4. Devils 28 hits, Flyers are 23. Devils 4 block shots is just unacceptable. Single digits in block shots is just a crime against humanity. I'm sure the coaching staff's going to have a field day with that. But 4 block shots to 10 for the Flyers. Devils 14 giveaways, Flyers 13 giveaways. Devils 2 takeaways, Flyers 7 takeaways. And if you just looked at these stats and didn't watch the game, you would probably think like, oh, maybe it was a somewhat competitive game. And obviously it was anything but. Then we just get to the players real quick. Ugly night for a lot of guys. Is there anyone even worth mentioning here? Nico with 5 shots and a hit. Glendening, 2 shots, 2 hits. Palat, 6 hits for Palat with a shot. Timo Meier, obviously, with the goal. 3 shots, 3 hits. Nico, 2 goals and an assist. 1 hit. Dilly with 3 hits and a shot. Dougie with 3 shots. Nemo with the assist, 3 shots. I don't even care. Jake Allen, 23 saves. Yeah, 23 saves on 29 shots. Going to tank his numbers. Not a great night for Jake Allen, but far from the reason the Devils lost once again, in my opinion. This team has some soul searching to do, honestly. They really have some soul searching to do. There is no excuse for this level of play. Completely inexcusable. Without Jack Hughes, you cannot just completely fold up and look like an inept hockey club, and that is what we have seen thus far. It's unfortunate. I guess I'll show this graphic they showed on MSG. My phone's blowing up. The Jack factor. This is Devils stats since 1920. With and without Jack Hughes, the record with 186, 161, and 38 for a points percentage of .532, scoring an average of 3.1 goals per game, and averaging 3.1 goals against. And then you look without 33, 45, and 11, a much lower points percentage at .433, scoring 0.3 goals per game less, 2.8 versus a 3.1, and coincidentally allowing 0.3 more goals a game. So you're talking about, actually, if you look at the goals against, goals for and against with Jack Hughes is actually a net 0. 3.14 and 3.1 against is a net 0. If you look without, that's a net minus 0.6. 2.8 minus the 3.4 is a negative 0.6. And I honestly thought it may have been worse than that, because it's certainly, when you look at these stats, it's pretty alarming, but it feels even worse than this when you watch the games. But I mean, the stats are pretty telling, right? And so while early on in the season, again, this is a different team without Jack Hughes, obviously. This is completely, once again, another season we are sitting here talking about the same shit that we have so many seasons prior. And I really believed this season was going to be different. And the craziest part about the whole thing is that Jack Hughes did not get hurt during a hockey game. I mean, I never in a million years would have foresaw a scenario where we're without Jack Hughes and it had nothing to do with the game of hockey, outside of the fact that it was a dinner with his hockey teammates. That is the only thing hockey had to do with this. But I think the sad reality is, for whatever reason, without Jack Hughes, the team just implodes, and you're looking at it in real time. I really thought for the first couple games, that there was a chance it was something they'd get over. Even great teams have peaks and valleys throughout the season, and we saw this team go on an 8-game heater. They looked phenomenal. It looked like the depth scoring was no longer an issue. It wasn't going to be the black hole that it was last year, that the bottom 6 would produce goals here and there for this season. And in short order, we see the team decimated with injuries. And that's the reality too, is like, while we got some guys back, this is not a full version of the team, and it sucks, but injuries are part of it. And so you can't just every season excuse it. We suck now because of injuries. And they were withstanding all the injuries up until we got the injury, the Jack Hughes injury. They withstood Brown being out and Kovacevic obviously not starting the season, and Pesci and Hamilton. They overcame all of it and were still a decent hockey team. But once Jack went down, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Many people, again, who I would call the doomers, proclaiming the season over. And the season's still far from over, by the way. We're not even in December. There's plenty of time to salvage this thing. But it's got to happen, and it's got to happen quick. Whether that happens with a trade or multiple trades or some real soul-searching done in that room and guys have an awakening moment, whatever it is, this team tonight, it was a very telling loss, in my opinion, in the way they lost, the response to giving up the 3 goals in the blink of an eye. It just looked like a lifeless club that did not want to be there. They looked completely disinterested and wanted to get home as fast as possible. That's just what it looked like. And it's unfortunate that the level of play with and without Jack is night and day. But for whatever reason, they cannot get it together without him. He is down now and probably out for another 6 to 7 weeks. And if they continue on the way it is, it's going to be an ugly season. And it's super unfortunate because it doesn't have to be. There are things that could change this. Obviously, again, a trade, all of a sudden this team wakes up, but I'm not counting on it. It is now, it's just proven to not work at this point. And there's going to be tough questions asked. After the game, Sheldon Keefe, in my opinion, he was still very calm and collected. He always has been. But he seemed way more direct and, I guess, for lack of a better term, disappointed, like, with what he was saying than I've ever seen before. Like, I think internally he is enraged. And for the people blaming Keefe, there's a couple of you, not many. It seems like more people have turned their venom towards Fitz than anything else, but there's always going to be the coach people that go after the coach. And there was people even in the chat talking about Keefe. Keefe is the last thing from the problem on this team. Keefe is a great coach, in my opinion. I don't think we would have made the playoffs without him last year. I think other coaches would have just completely fell out of the standings and missed the playoffs. And I think Keefe is super frustrated. I think things that he coaches, things they talk about, things they go over are just not being done in game. And he even referenced, I forget what it was, but something that they had went over with assignments that were just completely blown. And it's like, you could teach and preach the same things over and over again, but if the guys do not execute, what are you supposed to do outside of obviously taking drastic measures and maybe reducing guys' ice times, or even, more harsh would be benching guys and putting them as a healthy scratch. I don't know that we'll see any of that, but I think we're certainly now at the time where, it's pretty close to panic time, in my opinion, because without Jack Hughes, this team has shown that it's just nowhere near the same team, and guys are just not getting it done. And at some point, you have to take a look around and say, well, what is this insane to keep running the same, most of the same guys year after year and thinking it's going to be any different. And again, the injuries don't help, but it's certainly not a valid excuse to keep leaning on. There's no reason that the team should completely fall apart when there's injuries. And maybe now we are at the precipice of maybe there needs to be an earth-shattering move made. Maybe this team really needs a culture shock to get the message, because in my opinion, after the way we lost tonight, again, it's not even just losing, but it's, your best player goes down. You're now 2-2 on a 5-game road trip. This is the 5th and final game. What are you going to come home with out of these 10 points? And to just give up those goals the way we did, and then just to look so dejected with no response, no big hit, no fight, no anything. No anything. And so I have been the most optimistic person, I think, probably all season. And a lot of you would make fun of me for it. And a lot of the doomers, I'll get to the comments eventually. I'm sure a lot of the doomers are celebrating. And I even said on X, I believe, or maybe in the chat here, it's all blurred together right now. But if you don't follow me on X, follow your boy on X. Trying to get a little more involved on there. I'll put that up in a minute. But a lot of people that doom end up being somewhat correct in the long run. But my issue is that they weren't correct at the time, that it was a premature statement or statements that they make. And then over time, I may agree with the statement, but not at the time they made it, if that makes sense. Because some of these people just dwell in negativity, and there's people that were calling the season over probably after opening night in Carolina. And so now these same psychos feel somewhat vindicated now that I am expressing concern or disappointment or a shifting of expectations for this team going forward. And it's not vindication for them because the extreme doomers are still lunatics. But the reality of the situation is, for me personally, again, as one of the more optimistic people and fans, this team tonight drained every last ounce of optimism that I had, because you've now lost 3 games in a row. This one was super ugly. You were shut out in the previous game, and you lose 3 in a row, and here we are now going home with 4 out of 10 points. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Lack of a true response, in my opinion, at any point tonight. And it's gross. We'll take care of the supers. Bobby, thank you for the super. This game was beyond embarrassing. The boys have lost the desire to compete and win. Allen looked like a deer in the headlights on every breakaway. Our power play has also tanked. Last year it was fantastic with Nason on power play 1. Put him back. If I'm being honest, I don't think Nason on power play 1 is going to fix anything. But thank you for the super. Allen, again, not a great game tonight, but I think we're losing no matter who's in net for the Devils. I mean, just breakaways, high-quality chances. I'm not opposed to switching up power play units if it goes cold and trying other guys, but this one was just ugly quickly, and it started off so promising. A beautiful, just hardworking power play. Timo gets rewarded. It's Timo time in Philly, and I'm all jacked up, and then it all just poof. Disappears, and it ends up in a thorough handling. Ryan, respect, thank you for the super. Ace, I find myself agreeing with a lot of the other doomers in the chat right now. I really tried, man. This team needs to do something fast. Well, I'm going to get to the chat. But again, some of these people were saying the same stuff after opening night in Carolina. And so while, again, they may have some valid points that prove to be correct over time, the timing in which they're saying them, to me, is super premature and a little bit of lunacy. But we'll get to all those momentarily. But thank you, Ride and Respect. David, thank you, sir. 1 bad week is too little to doom. Well, I don't think I'm dooming. I think what I'm doing is just having a realistic kind of analysis and recalibration of my expectations and hopes for this team going forward. And if they make no major moves, I still think they have enough good players and enough talent to at least somewhat squeak into the playoffs and then probably get steamrolled in the first round. If I had to predict, that's what I would predict as of right now, given how long Jack's out and how we've been playing as of late. I still think they have enough to squeeze into the playoffs. But without any major moves, it'll be a quick ouster once again. In my opinion. But I think no matter what, they make the playoffs. I mean, that would just be truly crazy if they didn't. But thank you, David. But we'll see. I mean, are any moves going to be made? Is it going to be another punt? It's truly disgusting that how this all just kind of fell apart in a matter of weeks. And again, it's all pretty much hinging on Jack Hughes going down, which is the sad reality. But I really believed in this team again. And people are like, oh, it's the same as last year, blah, blah, blah. And like, in some ways it kind of is. So I get that. And a lot of you are scarred and have been just looking for anything to cling on to. And I get it. It was another good start. Last year, obviously the start was very good up through the Christmas break or till the holiday break. And then it all fell apart after that. And now it seems like this season, Jack goes down early. And it's all kind of falling apart before Thanksgiving, and it sucks. I still believe in most of this team, and I think the season can be salvaged. But I personally now, because Jack is down, I am hitting the panic button pretty much now. That was a very telling 3-game losing streak, and the way they just kind of folded up and just looked like completely lifeless tonight was very telling to me. And I think, there's going to have to be a lot of tough conversations between players, upper management. But going on like this, I think, would be the true definition of insanity. And now we get to the comments. Collect records, win or lose, we need antidepressants. Yeah, it's a rough one. It's tough right now. I'm trying to remain somewhat positive. I guess, the positive angle is that this team has been amazing at the Rock, and they're now coming back to the Rock. Hopefully they look like the team we've seen at the Rock all season long. But tonight was super ugly and a game I will not forget because that was just 3 goals in 26 seconds. Yeah, so now we come home. 24th, Monday, the Wings. 26th, the Blues. Then in Buffalo. So you got Flyers at home Saturday. So you got 4 games. And then I think we start home. Yeah, 3 in a row. So you're talking about for the next couple weeks, 6 of 7 at the Rock. Can you get something back here? 6 of the next 7 at the Rock. I expect better results, but you cannot be a team that just sucks on the road, right? And so now we saw this road trip was pretty rough, 2 and 3, and the West Coast road trip was obviously atrocious. And so here we are, a team that is very good on home ice and is pretty damn bad on the road. Isn't that a kind of switch from years past? Ice Cube and my Ice Tea, there was a numbers guy on Twitter that said we were heading for this even with Jack. I don't think so. I think that's just, again, there was people being super negative even during the winning streak. And how are you going to be negative during a winning streak? They're going to sit there and beat their chest now and tell you how smart they are. But it's really just negative people saying negative stuff. And then when it happens, they're like, yeah. And they're happy about it. If I say something negative, I would much rather the team do well and me be proven wrong. And I'd be like, I was wrong about that. The team's amazing. I'm so glad I was wrong. Not these people. This is a special breed of sickness where these people would rather be right about something negative about the team that they supposedly root for than for the team to be good and for them to be wrong. It's really an illness. Get well soon. And we get back to another. David Ryan, thank you, sir. Ace, you deserve a super for just sitting through the lame excuse of a game and hosting this collective mental therapy session. Yeah, thank you, David. Nights like this are pretty rough. But it is what it is, right? Win or lose, we booze. We will be here. I will be here. I love this team, obviously. I want nothing more than to see this team go on deep runs and for us all to just have great times and great memories of New Jersey Devils hockey going deep in the playoffs. But after a game like tonight, I'm like, damn, this is pain. Snow Devil says, Ace, say what you got to say and be out. Reading the comments tonight won't do you any good. Oh, I'm going to read some of them. I know what I'm in for. I know what I signed up for. David, people treat a 3-game losing streak like late January of last season. Too soon to get worried and despair. Malkin will still be our 3C come March. Oh, boy, I would love it. Malkin on the Devils. I can't see it happening, but how elated I would be. Jubilee, I wonder how annoyed Keefe was post-game. He was pretty annoyed. He was holding it in, but he was definitely a little more direct and pointed than he normally is. And I think he just internally was fuming. And Sal even kind of laid on a little bit of homerism. And Sal was like, oh, what did you think about when, uncharacteristically coughed up pucks or something like that? He said uncharacteristically. And Sheldon Keefe cut him off and he was like, uncharacteristic. He's like, is it uncharacteristic? He's like, if that's what you do pretty often, that's who you are. It's not uncharacteristic. And Sal was like, whoa, because Sal typically is way overly positive. And Sheldon Keefe cut him off and he was like, no, he's like, it's not uncharacteristic. He's like, this is how we play. He's like, this is who we are until we're not. That's literally what he said. He said, this is who we are until we're not. And I do think that was the most kind of, animated or whatever you want to call it, Sheldon Keefe has been all year. And he's usually very stoic and to himself. But even when the team was on the 8-game winning streak, he was still not, sold, if you will, on a lot of the things. He said there's still things that he doesn't like, things they needed to clean up. And so I think he is always, striving for greatness and just getting frustrated when, guys are not putting the plan and the things they're talking about into action. And he certainly was agitated tonight. You could tell for sure. But like I said, it was very telling when Sal said the uncharacteristic thing. And he was like, no, it's pretty characteristic. All right. DMW, I'm getting sick of all the changes. Pick some lines and let them try to gel for a few games. Yeah, I could see that too. But in the end, when nothing is working, it does seem like Keefe is pretty active with jumbling up the lines. But today, all we really saw was Timo and Grits flip. So Timo went back with Bratt and Nico, and Grits was with Dawson, Mercer, and Connor Brown. And Grits and Brown had a nice thing going when they were getting centered by Cody Glass. I guess that was earlier on in the season. I mean, wow, right? I'd be curious to know how many different line combinations we've seen this season. It's got to be up there. in terms of the different line combinations we've seen, because there's so many guys have gotten injured and we've kept, switching up and trying different things. So Crispy says center depth is brutal. Yeah, absolutely. Ideally, Dawson Mercer is playing wing. He's forced to play center as a result of not having any center depth. And you just, Connor Brown on your second line. Like, I love Connor Brown. He's a great third liner. If he's on your second line, you have problems. Lemico playing 3C, not ideal. It's just all compounded things that are just right now coming together to give the Devils a real problem, and it's super unfortunate. But here we are, and I'm heartbroken right now because I expected a much better response from this team tonight, and even within the game after they gave up those 3 goals, it was just like everyone was deflated, and it was like, let's go home. And I think that maybe, a bigger underlying problem and maybe tough questions and conversations need to be had, because this season cannot be squandered. This is a very precious season once again, and it cannot be squandered. The previous 2 were, in my opinion. You cannot squander 3 seasons in a row with this core on the contracts that they're on. It would be egregious. All right, scanning through here. David Ryan says we don't have a bottom 6 period. With the injuries, we definitely don't. Right now, once again, you got guys that probably aren't playing in the league on other teams in your lineup, and it's unfortunate. The depth has been depleted. There's just too many injuries, and the center, the real 3C was never addressed. Obviously, I do think the team had planned on, prior to camp, I think they planned on Lemico being 4C and Cody Glass being 3C. And now we're living in a time where, with the Glass injury, Lemico's playing 3C, and a PTO tryout in Glendenning got a deal, and now he's playing 4C. And it's just another season. Again, injuries really are a big problem, and they were able to overcome them all until the Jack one. The Jack one was the dagger. Jay Snow, we are the New Jersey Hughes. Yeah, unfortunately, in the way the games play out, you can make that statement, Jay Snow. They're still the Devils, but without Jack Hughes, they have nothing. They have nothing. Mario Alex is exactly the bottom 6 are butt cheeks, which is surprising because they weren't too bad before the road trip. Chicago cut will forever be the haunting image of this season. Them holding up that stupid jersey and that stupid restaurant. Man. Devil heaven, all we could do is ride the storm out. Yeah, hopefully the Rock will kind of get them back to where they need to be. But this was a brutal 3-game losing streak, and tonight was certainly a discouraging performance, if you could even call it a performance. Devil says players these days are generally soft, and if they are given the chance to fold up like a cheap tent, they will. There's a lot of guys that aren't like that, though. And it's just like, where are guys that just hate losing? Like, where are the guys in the room that in this lineup that hate losing so much that are going to get fired up? And if they're losing a game like that, are going to go out there and make something happen. Show some emotion. It just seemed like it was like, all right, we lost this one, guys. Better luck next time. And laid down and died. Yeah, they got that goal late, but at that point, it was over. It was completely over. Nicole, this game was atrocious. Jack loss clearly impacting the team. I'm not ready to give up on the team for the rest of the season, but they need to get it together before Jack is back. No excuses. Yeah, no, I'll never give up on this team. I love this team and want them to do well more than anything. I will never give up on them. I'll always root them on, always go to the games and, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, you have to reward the fans with something. And that goes for ownership as well. Upper management, rather. This team needs help. If we're going to continue on like this, I'm just hoping they come back to the Rock and look like a different team and then can translate it on the road. But right now on the road, this team looks lost. And again, I think more of it has to do with the fact that Jack is obviously out of the lineup, but something's got to give. I mean, this was just a devastating loss, in my opinion. Collect records. I also think we weren't as good as everyone thought. We came out hot while half the league was still in summer mode. Now they're picking it up and ready to go into Hollywood hibernation. I mean, maybe, but an 8-game winning streak is not easy to do in this league. And they were looking really good in some of those games, despite the injuries. And then, the Jack thing is just, for whatever reason, Jack goes down and it's a wrap. It is a wrap. Other teams sustain injuries as well to big name guys and find a way. I mean, look at Florida, right? We just played them the other night. They beat us in that tight game. They beat us 1-0. They're without Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk and a ton of other guys. So, for the people, there are injuries to other teams. I will say I don't believe any other team has had the big name injuries for years in a row like we have had. But if you look around the league this year, there are tons of injuries, and other teams don't just completely wilt and die when one of their big name guys goes out. But for whatever reason, the Devils, you look at their roster, even without Jack, and you're like, this should be a decent team. Even without Jack Hughes, on paper, with the other guys healthy, obviously. You look at the roster tonight, Lemico at 3C, nothing, no offense, but that's problematic. But with most of the guys back in the lineup, minus Jack Hughes, when you look at it, you would be like, this should still be a decent team. Couldn't be further from the truth on a game like tonight. A. Russo says, Grits limping around the room with ice bag as per James Nichols. Yeah, I think he temporarily left the game and then came back, but then he didn't take another shift. And so, like someone pointed out in the chat earlier, we may see news tomorrow that he's, week to week. Who knows? At this point, the injury curse is crazy. I will never be convinced that it's not a curse. The amount of injuries that just keep happening, it's just something's got to give. It really just feels like the Devils have this hex over them. Jack McCabe, let's call it what it is. Nothing will happen. Same shit, different year. Nothing will change. Another year down the shitter. I mean, come on, man. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. There's plenty of time to right the ship for things to happen. But as of right now, I'm in a bad mental space currently. But plenty of season to go. This is not, this team is not in last place and then performing like that. There's plenty of time to figure this out, but it's got to be figured out quick because these last 3 games have been extremely discouraging to me. Hey, Russo, Fitz doesn't do in-season trading. Hopefully this is a season where we see him make some in-season moves. David, I know it doesn't make a difference, but I feel like the Jack Hughes injury was horseplay or acting silly while drunk, and the internet is sugarcoating the story. Oh, it's not the internet sugarcoating the story. It's the story the Devils put out. At this point, I don't even care, right? People keep saying that, he was silly while drunk. Maybe, right? At this point, does it even matter? He's out for however long he's out for. I do think it's funny that everyone just assumes he was drunk. I don't even think he drinks that much. I don't think most of these guys drink like players did back in the day. They might go out and ha, have a couple beverages, but they're not binge drinking like players did back in the day. Absolutely, they're not doing that. And I don't think he would ever get drunk to the point where he gets hurt like this. We'll never know the real story. And the truth is, I really don't even care, right? It's just get back on the ice and help us win games. I don't even care what happened. Captain THC, I knew the Devils were going to be in trouble before the game started when I saw Philly was honoring Bernie Parent. Yeah, it seemed like a nice tribute. But that didn't concern me. Jack, Keefe is the guy. We've seen enough good. It's the roster and its construction. Those are the poison. Completely agree. I don't think this is any indictment on Sheldon Keefe whatsoever. I really do like him as a coach. I think he's gotten a less than stellar hand in his time here thus far, obviously, especially with the injuries. And hopefully he has a fully healthy squad or nearly fully healthy at some point where he doesn't have to roll out several AHL guys in his lineup. It really is unfortunate, but I do agree that the flaws we're seeing here are more of roster construction type things versus things Keefe is doing or not doing. Timo, 2024, Jack goes down. He was playing with one shoulder. 2025, he crashes out. They limp in the playoffs and get crushed. 2026, let me guess. Select a boy, what's going on? A. Russo says, need Kyrou. I think that would cost a lot. What a performance to witness. All right, I'm going to scroll ahead here. Chris says trade. We need trades. Timo says a culture shock needs to happen. I think those conversations may be going on right now. I think we might. I'm not saying it's definitively at that point, but we're pretty damn close. We are pretty damn close. If we don't see a big improvement in this next 7-game stretch where 6 of the 7 are at home, I think you got to start figuring out what the play is because standing pat is certainly not it. Jonathan Decker says, put Jesper Bratt on a milk cart and he's missing. Well, he had 3 assists tonight, but yeah. What is his point totals on the year? He's going to have more points than you realize. But they're often like, man. Yeah, he's got 21 points in 21 games. But you definitely would want to see more from him. Kind of streaky also. But everyone's playing bad right now, guys. Let's be real. You could almost point to anybody and be like, what has he done? What has anyone done? Outside of Jake Allen before tonight, what has anyone really done in recent times? You could say the whole team has been struggling. Captain THC says we aren't going to see many real trades until after the holidays. That's definitely possible. Sook says, you're making me shed a tear right now, running. I'm so proud of you. I don't know what that's in reference to because it was a while ago, but I call it like I see it. A lot of you, again, jump the gun. The sky is falling. Everyone sucks. This guy sucks. We're missing the playoffs. Burn it down after one period of game one. Like, give me a break. And I said, in time, some of the things that some of you have said may be true, but I think you say them extremely prematurely. Tonight was that point for me with a lot of the stuff anyway. Not all the extremisms that people are throwing out there, but just the reality of without Jack Hughes, this team might be fool's gold. Maybe we were slightly fooled up until that point. I certainly was still high. I was high on the team regardless of all the other injuries because the team kept finding a way to win games. But then once Jack went down, different story. Completely different story, and here we are. Something has to give. Mario says, not a single win in a week is crazy, though, so I see why people are dooming. It's not even necessarily the loss as the way it happened. Richard says, a shakeup is needed. I usually don't go for that this quickly, but we need attitude with beef. Get O'Reilly now. Cotter, Nason, Casey, and a second rounder. Cotter, Nason, Casey, and a second rounder. That's an interesting package. I don't think they would really want that. I think they would want more like, maybe Casey and a first rounder or something more along those lines. But either way, I certainly would be interested in O'Reilly. I think a lot of teams would be. But I certainly would inquire now. Do I think adding O'Reilly to this team tomorrow, does that fix everything? Absolutely not. At some point, guys, you could blame whoever you want. People blame Fitz. People blame this guy. You could blame whoever you want. In the end, the players have to take the brunt of the blame, right? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you earning your paycheck? Do you feel good about your individual performance tonight? And you can pretty much say that to almost everyone. At some point, the guys have to deliver. And you could only keep putting the blame on so many other people. And again, anyone saying anything about Keefe, I think you're completely insane. It's 100% not a Sheldon Keefe issue. He's part of the solution, not the problem. But, some of these players have to look in the mirror. What have you done? What have you done to will this team to win? SST says go straight to the food talk. Team with the Devils have been one of the worst 5-on-5 teams in the NHL for weeks now. It's been cracking, and now it's becoming the Grand Canyon. Yeah, sort of. For sure. All right, we're behind here. Is this his Stan Fisher's 2001 moment? It's pretty funny. Seth says, I don't think Fitz is going to do anything. Jack, looks like spots are being given, not earned, and that's on Keefe. That's on Fitz. There are no other options other than borderline AHL talent. What do you expect Sheldon Keefe to do? With all the injuries, to scratch any NHL regular would be detrimental. It's almost like you can't. So it's nice to fantasize about it, but in reality, who are you punishing? You're punishing the entire team because we have no guys to spare. M. Sharp says any center available for a trade that can be pulled off. Yeah, everyone keeps talking about O'Reilly. That certainly seems like definitely plausible. People are throwing out other names too, but I think that's probably amongst the most realistic. Richard, what a horrible road trip. Hopefully we get back on track and we get home on a positive note. Congratulations to the great Marty. Thank you, Richard. They need to get back on track at home immediately. And the great Martin Brodeur has now officially been entered into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. So check that out. They had that coverage Dano inducted him, did a nice speech. That is on the Devils website. So definitely check that out. All right, let me get back up here. Yeah, the dooming is crazy, but, it's expected. But when the team plays like this, you're going to get the doomers. Justin says, please get rid of Palat. I don't know how realistic that is either. We'll see. I think he finishes the season here for sure. Adam says, throw Dawson. Why not? If Markey's injured and can't play, I think, as we talked about this the last game, I do believe Markey's injured, so just shut him down for a little bit, let him fully heal up, and let Dawes get a game on those back-to-backs. I certainly have confidence in Dawes and have for a while. His numbers from last season, again, very small sample size, but he's definitely capable of winning games. He had a nice outing against the Wild this season, and I think he could definitely get you some wins in the games he has to play. But not if we're going to see the Devils play like they did tonight. You got to generate some goals. His last appearance was during the Jack Hughes' healthy era, pre-Chicago cut. Man, what a crazy name of a restaurant, and that photo is going to go down in history. Devil says, I am right all the time. I'm not dooming. Dooming is when you're just like, the sky is falling, everything. I'm just giving what I would say is my realistic, analysis or kind of breakdown of what we just saw and where I think this team is. And the reality is it's not necessarily positive, but I think that's very different from dooming. Dooming is a very, very different sport. Timo says the Florida Panthers are proven winners. The Devils are not. This is not a fair comparison. Collect records. I would have loved O'Reilly and had been calling for him, but is he even going to want to come here now? I think so. I mean, I think he would welcome a chance to go anywhere that is kind of on a better trajectory than the Predators, and that would be a lot of teams. And so with 2 years left on his deal at, I think it's $4.5 million, I think he would make a lot of sense for the Devils to target, assuming you didn't have to, some crazy overpayment to get him. Still zombified. My brother bought Rasmussen game-worn gloves. I'm depressed. That's pretty funny. Man, Rasmussen. Gleason, this is Fitzgerald's last chance. That's it. The coach is complaining he has no playable players. Yeah, and again, Sheldon Keefe, I feel like, has been given kind of a raw deal now for the second year, but it's not. It is predicated on injuries, obviously, but regardless, he's had to put some less than stellar lineups out there. Snow Devil, Keefe saying this game wasn't uncharacteristic and this is who we are. Our lack of consistency is a serious issue. Glad he finally acknowledged it. Gives me hope that he'll change something. But how much can he change? That's the thing, right? That's why I always say, at some point, you have to be like, these players are not getting it done. It is not a shortcoming of Keefe. It is not a shortcoming of anyone other than the players that are not doing what they're supposed to do. And that's it. Jason says Ace isn't dooming. He's being honest in what he's watching. I mean, yeah. Suk, the team is broken and it sucks to see, but my God, show some heart, Yeah, that's kind of where now I'm like, maybe the bigger questions have to be asked, because it'd be one thing if you're showing fight and you're clawing back and they're in it till the end and you're not giving up. Then it's like, all right, 3-game losing streaks could happen. But when it gets capped off with a lifeless performance like we saw tonight, it's like, there's more there than just a 3-game losing streak, unfortunately. Jack says, make any trade, do anything, have a pair and send in some reinforcements to say to that locker room that, hey, we believe in you, here's some help. Taylor, on the bright side, I thought Nemo and Luke D pairing looked decent. Yeah, I do think that's going to be a bit of a roller coaster thrill ride at some points where you will see amazing stuff, and then you're also going to be like, oh boy, what happened? But in the end, I do think, I'm hoping that we don't get tempted to trade Nemitz and that he's here long term, and maybe Luke and Nemo could be a dynamic defensive pairing for this Devils club for years to come. I mean, that would be nice. But that also, guys, goes right back to the future is bright glasses. That's not really doing anything for the here and now. I mean, a little bit, but they got to figure it out. Richard says, Pesci being out is looming larger than I thought it would. He's the backbone of the defense. Yeah, he's a massive loss, no doubt. But is that going to fix a completely anemic offense? I don't think so. And so while I would love to get Pesci back and he will make this team better and help, is that going to fix all of the issues we're seeing? And I'm going to tell you definitively no. Definitely not. How I got her, Jeremy Proper says, Bob gets pulled after shutting us out. We can't catch a break. Got shelled tonight at the Panthers game. Didn't watch. You didn't miss anything. Dogzilla, James Nichols just posted on X. Grits appeared to have an issue with his ankle and was limping with an ice pack attached to the ankle. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Oh, I'm super far behind again. All right, let me just. Mario says, I'm scared for Monday. I'm going to the game. Hansen says, Ducks are playing so good. Would love to see them in the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, see them in the Stanley Cup final against who? You're not talking about the Devils, are you? I would love for the Devils to play anyone in the Cup finals. Ducks would be an interesting one. I mean, I can't see that anytime soon, but all right. Collect records. If Ryan O'Reilly is a viable center and we have to move money out, I'm offering Mercer. I think that would be a tragic idea. Moving Mercer, I think, would be horrible. That would create a massive hole, and he's here for this year and next at $4 million. I'm not trading Mercer unless it's in a massive blockbuster. They should try to keep him at all costs. Yeah, I'm with you, Anson. Mercer for O'Reilly, no chance. Jay Snow, all the number one picks are tearing up the league. Unfortunately, ours can never stay healthy. Chris, going Monday, sitting behind the bench, and we'll be getting rowdy. Very nice. Hopefully you see a win, and hopefully this team gets back on the right track. Oh, Ice Cube on Ice T says, Malcolm just said he'll retire before leaving the Pens. Okay. Yeah, I never thought there was a chance, but it's nice to dream. All right, let me catch up here. Yeah, everyone's chatty after these bad games. Wow, there's so many comments in here. Shout out to all of you guys. I'm going to have to skip through, obviously, tons of them here. Ariel, Jesper Bratt, 1 goal in his last 13. Yeah, he's racking up assists, but the goal scoring has kind of disappeared for now. Guys need to really wake up. Can some of these men reveal themselves to be goal scorers at any point? It is just crazy how no Jack Hughes, and it's like the team just poof. Jack says, completely agree with needing a culture shock. Jay Snow, if they're trading for anyone, you better play. Yeah, I want some nasty guys. Cody Ace, who do you want and why should we trade for him? I don't even know. Are you talking about like anyone like unrealistic or somewhat realistic? Like everyone knows who my number one want would be league wide. I don't think it's remotely possible anymore. But once upon a time, I think it was. Timo Meier says, I've seen enough of this core. Devil says, jump the gun, end up being right. Jack, can't wait for the big trade to be a non-factor bottom sixer who will be in Europe after the season. If that's the case, then it's all going to crash. David S. Ace, what do you think the realistic chances are we trade for Quinn before waiting until he goes to free agency? I think it's 50-50. Depends on how greedy Vancouver is and how much other teams would be willing to trade for Quinn for a pure rental. I do think the pure rental aspect will keep the packages kind of down, because if it's known he's not going to sign an extension and you're literally just taking him as a rental until he signs with the Devils in free agency on July 1st, 2027, then there will be a limit. He'll still get a massive return, in my opinion, but it will not be as massive as it would have been either with a deal in place or with him willing to work it out with the team. I think the whole hockey world assumes he's going to end up on the Devils one way or another. And so, again, I've said this a million times, there is a value to getting him sooner than later, but I do not want to overpay for that. And I certainly don't want to trade any roster players in a deal unless obviously it's Dougie because of the money and it's defense or defense. And I'll still miss Dougie. But in a deal for Quinn, you obviously do that without thinking about it because it's, it is what it is. But outside of that, I'm not looking to trade roster players to bring Quinn in early. I would just wait till he's a free agent. But if they will take future pieces like prospects and picks, I would make a deal for him now if there was a reasonable deal to be had. Nick says we need a new GM. Tropical Flamingo, thank goodness this trip is over. The Tampa game and this game were not good. Florida, we just couldn't score, but that first was brutal. I did like a few stretches in late second and some in the third. Selected boy, that much for Ryan O'Reilly. I don't know what we were talking about. But I think teams would pay a lot or a good amount. I mean, if you could get them for a first and a prospect or something else, that'd be great. I think they're going to supposedly Trotz asked for crazy returns for everybody. So I don't know. I think he's going to ask for more than people would imagine. Nick, I don't understand why Keefe didn't call a timeout. I said that after the third goal that he should have called one, but it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. They didn't come to play tonight, and that's it. Early on, it was like, oh, Timo gave him the lead. I was so excited. Like, oh, the power play, Timo, beautiful. And then it quickly just fell apart. Jim says, by January, we won't be in the playoff hunt to be buyers. I hope you're wrong. That would be a real tragedy. Selected Boy says Keefe is the last person I would blame. Same here. 973 Luca, you can't be down a player and not being able to win games. Enough with excuses. Other teams are down players and they're doing fine. No, I completely agree. But this is the reality. This team is just completely different without Jack Hughes. Win or lose, we Hughes. Sook, the Devils are a one-man show. The day Jack decides not to be a part of this dumpster fire any longer is the day the Devils go back to relocating talks. No, that's definitely blown out of proportion. And the owners own the arena, so they're definitely not relocating anywhere. Owning the arena and the team is a huge bonus. Jim, good coaching, clog the neutral zone, and we fold like a lawn chair. We cannot dump and chase and won't with this core. The one-trick pony thing kind of, we've seen some cycle-type goals in the past, but they're few and far between. And, yeah, when the transition speed game is taken away and teams clog up the middle, the Devils really just do not thrive in those types of games. They really don't. And a lot of times that's obviously what playoff hockey becomes. Not built for it. And it's, man, nights like tonight are really true. They're truly devastating. I'm like distraught right now. Gleason, you don't want to bring up Dawes for no reason because you will lose him at this point in the season to waivers. Well, he's only signed for this year anyway, so it's like, what is their real plan for him? It seems like there really isn't one. It's an interesting thing to see how his time with the Devils organization ends. I don't think they're going to sign him. He's going to want real money, I think, and he's going to want playing time. We have Allen and Markey signed. Allen signed for 4 more years after this, and Markey signed for 2 more years after this. Yeah, he's going to be gone one way or another. David, I love the idea of giving Dawes more chances, but the waiver exemption for emergency use is limited to 9 more appearances. Okay, well, in the end, he's going to be gone after this year anyway, right? It's like, what are you saving the appearances for? If Markey's truly hurt, we're going to keep playing Markey if we have a healthy guy in Dawes with limited games left. Like, we're going to lose him one way or another anyway. So you might as well get your starts out of him. Stick Figs, I just put together the name of the restaurant in Jack's injury. Are you serious, Stick Figs? Where have you been? Fred, I was right to be worried about the road trip, but I'm not worried about the playoffs. The problem with Jack out is not only that he's not here, it's that each O-line is a bit weaker. I think that's an understatement. I mean, they just look completely lost. Completely lost. Suk says they can't get one clean zone entry without Jack. This team is cooked. 973 Luca, Dawes look confident, should be given a chance, but when Team D players as garbage as today, no matter what goal you have in there, you cannot win games. Bungie Boris, imagine if we traded Nico or Jack for Marchand last season. Not a serious take. Well, first of all, the return was far. It would have been nowhere near Nico or Jack. But I would have loved Marchand on the Devils. I don't think he had any interest in coming here. But I said it at the deadline, or towards the deadline. If he was available, if I was Fitz, I would have inquired. He didn't want to come here, but I certainly would have traded. They got a first-round pick for him, I think. It was more of a favor to Marchand than anything. But obviously, that return would have been amazing to acquire. But he played a big part in where he ultimately went. Justin Smith says it's not a Keefe issue, just like it wasn't a Lindy Ruff issue, but people who know nothing about hockey seem to think it is. I gave Lindy a little. People were calling for Lindy to get fired way earlier. In the end, I thought it was the right move to move on from him when the team did. But there was people who were calling for him to get fired much sooner in the season, and I just think at some point it was time to move on, and the team needed a different voice at that juncture of their kind of growth as a group. But I certainly was not on board with the people calling for him to be fired way before he should have. Just like I'd like with the Doomers. Like I said, people sometimes say things that end up being true in time, but they're very premature with the statement. Just like people were calling for Lindy's head like very early on the year he got canned. And I was like, it's way too soon. You got to give him more time. And then by the time it happened, I was like, okay, I'm on board with it now. Like we went through, a little bit more of a stretch where we didn't see the improvements we needed to see, and it was time to move on. But Keefe, I do not think is a problem whatsoever. I think he's a great coach for this team, and I just think, unfortunately, he's had a lot of rough luck with all these injuries and having to ice AHL guys regularly for a lot of his tenure here. Nolan, what's this news about Quinn? I'm hearing last few days that the Canucks said if he wasn't looking to sign a long-term contract, and they were thinking to trade him. I honestly think this is just, from what I saw, it's just people making headlines out of marginal stuff. And it was just like something I think that they claim someone in the Canucks may have said that if Quinn wasn't going to sign or I guess confirm that he was willing to sign there and he wasn't committed to the Canucks, then they're better off trading him now than later. Like, no shit. That's not any new development. But, I said this months ago. So he's not going to sign in Vancouver, which he's not. and his value only goes down from now because you're trading less time of service, right? So as it stands right now, he has the rest of this season, regular season, the playoffs, and then all next year, whatever that brings to the team he goes to. If they wait till the offseason, that's already, you're putting him at 1 season of service left. And even more to that point, if every team thinks and knows he's going to go sign with the Devils, then you're trading for literal 1 year of his service. So again, teams will pay a lot more than people would think for 1 year of Quinn Hughes, but there is a limit to that because you have one shot and that's it. You have one shot with him and then he's going to go to the Devils is probably the common thought. And so I do think it's just people kind of stirring up, headlines. To me, it's a much to do about nothing, but I've been saying that same stuff and people have been speculating openly. Like, yeah, if he's not going to sign there, you might as well trade him now and get the most you can. And again, I'm not saying I want the Devils to do it. Depending on, what the Canucks would be asking for. And I've seen some ridiculously outlandish packages published out there by different, people or media, whatever it is, just completely absurd packages. SJ says, wish Timo was a center, need one like him. I was texting one of my friends. For the old school fans, I've been dying for our modern day Jason Arnott type, a big boy Canadian center. It's been so long since we've had one. David S. Ace, would you do Seamus Casey to Calgary for Blake Coleman? Player for player, is that fair? I don't know. That trade doesn't excite me, though. Coleman as a whole doesn't excite me. I would, he would make the team better, but tons of guys would make the team better. And I'll always go back to the same thing. There's not going to be an unlimited amount of moves to be made because of the cap space situation. And so do I want to use one of my only bullets on a Blake Coleman? I'm going to say no. I think I'm looking for something a little more impactful. I like Coleman. And again, he would make this team better. But if you do that, that might be like the only move of substance you're going to make. And I aspire for a little bit more impactful than that. Jack McCabe, have to question team leadership when things are like this and no fight, no passion, no physicality. Where's the captain? Why isn't he mixing it up at any given moment? Is his message getting through? He's not really that guy, obviously. In terms of the physicality. But in terms of leadership, I mean, yeah, where is the leadership? Yeah, the lack of response and to just finish out a road trip like we saw tonight is really disappointing. Completely disappointing. Richard, the defensive breakdowns, however, Ace are and have been huge. Pesci, when he moves up the ice on offense, is also a threat. Don't know who it was, but keep lines as they are so they can gel. Try it. No, yeah, listen, Pesci definitely makes the Devils better. But, how much is that going to improve the offense that has been just completely missing in action most of the time that Jack has been out? I mean, shit. Yeah, it's a rough one, guys. I hope they come back to the Rock and look completely different, but they really need to have an awakening because this was just a gutless performance. I would love Malkin. I can't see it ever happening. Someone said earlier that he said he would never leave the Penguins. That was at least I got the Leafs podcast to watch. They got manhandled tonight. Should be good listening. Anson Meadows, only 50 likes. Damn. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. I mean, I know the team was bad tonight, but come on now. Fentanyl Floyd says, at what point do you break up the court? I mean, that's the multi-million-dollar question, right? And I think you start looking at it right now. I would say, let's see what they look like in this next stretch. 6 of 7 at home. But if you don't see drastic improvement, I think now I don't think it's premature to start considering it. I'm not saying to rush out or to run out and make a rush decision or make a deal or anything like that, like out of nowhere. But I think you start thinking about things that you may never have thought about before. And you really look at it and say, who's going to be part of the solution here and who's not. Because at some point you have to look at this team and say, if we keep seeing the same shit over and over every single year, something has to change. You can't keep blaming injuries. You're going to have to say something here needs to change drastically. And what is that going to be? And I don't have the answer, but I think it might be time to start thinking about what it is. And I think it might have to be one of those earth-shattering type moves. Nicole, we're going to the game on the 29th. I hope after this game it's feisty. I do too. I mean, we got embarrassed in Philly tonight. Hopefully they remember that. And they want a little payback when they come to our barn. Boozes? Everyone should be on the trading block. I mean, everyone. There is a room issue, and it's blatant after 3 years of the same thing. There could be something to that. There really could be. John, NJ Devils, other teams play with more passion. Devils just look defeated on the bench. Can't believe losing one player can do this to the team. It is wild. Like, you expect the play to dip when a guy like Jack is out, but, like, my God, it can't just completely fall off a cliff. It's crazy. Beachmaster dooming okay now. Jack out. Cool. No, it's just the reality of the situation. And now it's a body of work of 3 games. And Jack out for 8 weeks. And again, I'm not saying the season's over. It's not. It's far from over. So, again, this is not dooming. This is just a realistic commentary on what we've seen. They've got no confidence without Jackie the Snacky. Bungie, Toffs is doing better in San Jose. Lazar's kicking ass in Edmonton. Players do better when they leave us. Really makes you wonder. Not everybody, but a lot of guys do. But a lot of the guys probably are in increased roles. I mean, is Toffoli playing with? Playing with Eklund and Wimberg. Okay. I was gonna say if he ever plays with Celebrini, I mean, it's ridiculous. And says agreed, no roster players for Quinn. Snow Devil with Pesci Glass and Jack back. I think we're a really strong team. The fact we collapse when injured shows we don't have the foundation the Avs and Canes do. I don't know how to fix the lack of consistency. You can't with the injuries anyway. The way you fix it is to not get injured, and obviously that's an impossibility. So I do agree with you. The team is much better with all these guys back, but they're not here right now. And who knows when Jack actually comes back. And so are we going to have to watch a horror show every single game until Jack returns? Mia, they need to shake up the roster with players that have been here. They seem too comfortable. I think you could be right. That could be a part of it. Tropical Flamingo, Tage Thompson, Jason Robertson, either one of these guys ever gets to us. Somehow, I feel the scoring goes up big time. Quinn to New Jersey inevitable at some point, you would think. Tage Thompson, I would love. Robertson, not so much. I like Thompson much better than Robertson as a player. But beyond that, the contract situation. Tage Thompson has a lot of years left on his deal at a super low cap hit, like $7.1 million or something. Robertson is going to be looking for mega money that I have no interest in paying him. And so for that reason alone, I think the differential between the two is very large, in my opinion. John NJ, Ace is a true soldier coming on here and speaking the truth. He wants to smash something. I do. Yeah, certainly. Thanks, man. I would love to break a lot of things. Select the boy. Also, why didn't Fitz get Fabian Zetterlund when he was available for free? He wasn't for free. He got traded for, a pick or something? How guy or Jeremy Proper? Nico for Tage straight up. Larson for Hall. Got to do a Florida-esque trade. Love me, Cappy, but it ain't working. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying to do that, but that's certainly interesting. But I don't know that I don't think that would interest Buffalo. If in any world where Buffalo was to trade Tage Thompson, to me that would then signify almost like another start of a rebuild. And I think they would want younger pieces and picks. Tage and Nico are similar in age. So what would be the point of trading, Tage Thompson, the guy who has tons of term left at a cheap deal, for a guy in Nico who is going to be getting paid in 2 years? It wouldn't make sense to, I don't think, to them at all. Amagi, I think Dawes is suffering the same fate as Schmid, where neither have been given a fair shot at being a Devils goalie. Any circumstances have prevented that, like bad defense, limited play time, etc. It's just tough. There's two veterans in front of him now, and it seems like, obviously, with him being a free agent, he's not going to want to wait around here, and I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't want to either. And so, however it happens, one way or another, he's going to be on a different NHL team next year. There's no doubt about it. Barring that one of our two current guys don't get a career-ending injury and then Fitz, gives Nico Dawes whatever he wants. But he's going to be somewhere else after this season. Bungie, losing Dawes is going to doom this team's goaltending. Big mistake losing Dawes. I wish we could keep him. But you got to hope that Malik or Yegorov become the guy or the tandem in the future. But Markey is here for 2 more years after this one, and Jake Allen is technically signed for 4 more years after this one. David Chimes, Ace, is Markey hurt, or we're just playing Allen because he's been better? I think both. David. Markey, I think, is definitely hurt to some extent, and Allen has been playing better. Heading into this game, their stats were, wildly different. And again, doesn't always tell the whole story, obviously, but shocking difference in goals against and save percentage for Allen and Markey. And even with the Jake Allen game that he had tonight, I'm sure the numbers are still going to be substantially, better his way versus Markstrom's. But I'm hoping Markstrom comes back and can eventually get in the zone. I think he's been playing through injury, and I think that's been a huge part of why he hasn't looked great. Suk says Bratt will fetch a ton of value. Man, I would hate to trade Bratter, but again, these are all things that you look at. All right, I mean, is that something that should be explored? It would kill me and break my heart, but at what point do you say running the same group or mostly the same group back again is just not going to get the result we want? And this is where you have to look at a guy like Lou Lamoriello and say, what an incredible general manager this man was, with his finger on the pulse of the New Jersey Devils, making the hard decisions. He traded Jason Arnott away. He traded Randy McKay away. He traded Peter Sikora away. He traded tons of guys away. And then you're like, whoa. And sometimes the best deals, again, are those ones that are not easy to make and that are somewhat of a gamble and leave people second guessing and in shock. And trading all those guys away certainly did that. Trading cup winners, guys that were part of 2 of the biggest lines in team history, those are tough decisions to make. And Lou Lamoriello did that and brought in guys that were integral in winning cups after that. After they came here, they played a huge part in winning cups. The Devils probably don't win that 2000 Cup without both bringing Claude Lemieux back early on in the season and then going out and trading for Alexander Mogilny. That 2000 Cup probably does not happen. The 2003 Cup does not happen if we do not trade Sikora and bring in Friesen, and if Langenbrunner wasn't traded, Langenbrunner and Neuendijk from the season before with Arnott and McKay going to Dallas, that Cup probably doesn't happen in 03 without that trade. And so when you just look back at the history of the team and other teams that have won cups, sometimes you got to make those really tough to make deals. And I will shed a tear if any of our guys like, Brad or any of these guys are ever traded. But at some point, maybe that is part of the solution. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Tropical Flamingo, I expect guys to have focus coming home. Huge 2 versus Wings and Blues. Make it a great Thanksgiving. Let's go Devils. Win or lose, we always booze. Dirty Devil, always the go-to beverage. Anson's talking about the sorry Lindy. Beachmaster says conspiracy theory. 2 months means broken bone. Cut would be less, ligaments would be longer. I don't know, man. Making up that he cut his hand on glass is like a super random thing to make up. I mean, listen, I don't doubt anything these days. It's certainly possible, but I don't, what would be the benefit of lying about it? I mean, I suppose that it could be the case, but it just seems weird to make that up, in my opinion. I'm trying to catch up here. Anton, unpopular opinion, I'd rather have a legit top 6 winger over at 3C. I'll take any help, honestly. To me, it would just entirely depend on who the players were for me to pick. David, he was very young when he brought up earlier. I don't know. 24 is when most goalies pop. He never outright cracked. NHL stats for his age, very good. Even Askarov and Wolf waited until 23, 24. Jay Snow, we have no big boys on this team besides Dylan and Kovacevic when he's healthy. But yeah, I think we need some scrit and some nastiness. Just I want to see the team respond in games like this where we're getting pounded. Like, somebody do something. Go crush somebody. Go get a fight. Do something. Show that you're not lifeless. And we were just like, we got smashed tonight. We'll just go home. I don't know. Mario says Timo isn't using his full potential as a power forward. I'm a Timo guy. I would like to see him score some more. But, like, again, when you look around, who's scoring right now? Who is scoring right now? Jeremy Proper says, I predict we trade for another Hughes or nothing. I hope we do something. We need reinforcements. And obviously the Cody Glass injuries has proven extremely painful both times that he got hurt. Can't get anyone with salary unless we unload more in cap than we take on. Of course, Plot has to go, maybe even Nason. There's other options, but yeah. MJ Brand's Doomers are allowed at this point. It's been the same sheet 3 seasons in a row. Again, this season can still be salvaged. It is super early. It is not December. I am not giving up on this season whatsoever. I still think it could be corrected, but it requires definitely a couple moves and getting some guys back. We need some bodies back. More texts. Yeah, I'm just depressed, guys. My expectations really have shifted once again. And they already kind of shifted with Jack going down. Like, when that happened, I was like, okay, obviously I'm kind of, going to readjust what I'm hoping and expecting. But such a fall from grace. They looked so good early on. An 8-game heater, and now we're here. Brandon says the problem is we don't have a GM that has any balls to do any moves. I mean, we'll see, right? I think there's no way to know, but I could see a spot like this being where if a GM does fear for their job, they may be more motivated to make a move than to sit back. But I've said before, I don't think there's any fear for his job at all. So I don't think that would be a motivating factor. But maybe, he's been planning on something behind the scenes. We have no idea. We're going to see how it all plays out. But doing nothing, I think, again, would be catastrophic. Completely catastrophic. Richard says, love Quinn and he will be here at some point, but if his team doesn't start adding skilled beef that wins playoff series, we're in trouble. You can't have too many skeeters in the playoffs. I completely agree. And as everyone knows, when Fitz declared he wanted to get heavier, edgier, more violent, I went crazy with it because that was music to my ears. And he did do it. To his credit, that summer, he did get heavier, edgier, more violent. He got Kovacevic, he got Dillon. Even Cotter and Nason were improvements in the heavier, edgier, more violent department. However, sadly, and this is sad, sadly, even after getting those guys, they are still nowhere near heavier, edgier, or violent enough. They need more. I want some real nasty mows. Russo, they give off country club vibe. Shit would have never happened in the early 2000s. Yeah, it's a different world now. It's a different world, a different society, definitely a different National Hockey League. And I think a lot of things are very different. And none of it is for the better, obviously. But I do think, by and large, the league and the players that make up the league are very, very, very different than they were back then. Gleason says Lazar was scapegoated. He was fine and played an extremely defensive role while hurt. I don't know why everyone was so gung-ho for Glendening over him. Selected boy, here's a trade you guys might like. Trade the Devils' loser mentality for a winner mentality. That'd be nice. That would certainly be nice. Beachmaster says Mercer needs to get that one late. No, yeah, I thought he was going to get that one to make it a one-goal game. It was right there on the doorstep. Get it, Mercer. Get it. I really thought he was going to score it, but David, Timo scores tonight and people still bashing him. Why? He never a 40, 50 goal scorer at San Jose. Because Timo is one of people's, one of the favorite targets from a select group of people. Fentanyl Floyd says Nico is going to be looking for a significant raise after next season. If you want to make a statement, can't get any bigger than trading your captain. Now, again, I'm not saying this is what they should do, but I'm also saying explore every possibility. And another one that if that ever happened, I would shed multiple tears. I absolutely love Nico, but is that something that should be explored? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but something with this team is broke 1,000%. And going on the way they have is not the answer. It's not the answer. Richard says, Ace, if you want to get your anger out, I've got firewood that needs splitting with beer and Tito's aplenty. No, I'm not much of a log chopper. SST says, can't wait for the next Fitz presser and his new quotes. It's not going to be for a while. David Ryan says, what's the best over-the-counter medicine for my nauseous stomach? I think that would be tequila, David. Tequila. Jay Snow, the locker room needs a big shakeup. The players look way too content. After tonight, I do agree. I do agree. David says, Ace, I hate to be negative, but once Jack comes back, imagine he gets injured again. Oh, my God. Why would you even wish that on us? That'd be terrible. Jay Snow, look at what Zito did. Won a President's Trophy and then traded his top goal scorer. You guys know how I feel about Zito. Bill Zito and the Florida Panthers, the gold standard. There should be a statue of Zito outside their arena. The moves that he made and what he's done to build a winning program there and to be able to retain talent. Obviously, again, no state income tax, beautiful weather, all helps. And the team being phenomenal, back-to-back defending cup champions. But, I mean, talk about turning around a franchise. That Huberdeau deal that landed Matthew Tkachuk changed the fortunes of the Panthers and their franchise forever. Forever. Timo says he traded Randy McKay, beloved Devil. Yeah, and many other guys. Devils, we needed to hit on Holtz and some other draft picks, and we blew it. That is part of the issues we're having now. Part of it, for sure. Missing on a number 7 overall with Holtz definitely doesn't hurt. I mean, help. And then you got, Stillman, another first rounder that didn't work out. It sucks, but John NJ Devils Godfather Luke could fix this team. His teams would whoop this team's ass. Jason said Bratt would probably be the guy. It won't be Jack or Nico. Suk, it's not even as tough of a decision as your comparisons. Bratt or the rest of this core hasn't won anything. I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, obviously, no one's won anything. So it's not the same. But just in terms of what the guys have meant to the team and the fans thus far in their careers, minus, winning, people would, the fans that only know losing would feel the same way about trading those guys as us old timers felt when these cup champs got shipped out. David Ace, you're still annoyed we didn't get Hall last year for draft pick. I don't know if he wanted to come here. But I obviously, if you saw the video, I thought it was when his name was being rumored, it was something I was very interested in. And it turned out that he did have plenty of, hockey left in him, but maybe it was never meant to be and he didn't want to come here. We'll never know. But I certainly wanted the team to explore it. And I did make a video stating such. That's just a true. Lou made the timely trades. I don't know if Fitz can do that. A Russo, agreed. Ace, look at the Matty Tkachuk trade. Stinger at the time for fans, then wins 2. Yeah. Big time ballsy moves. Big time ballsy moves. Tons of Jack, knife jokes in the thing, in the chat here. John NJ Devils looked like a cast on Jack's hand out to dinner in New York City. It was definitely something. Some sort of cast brace situation. Timo says, look at how fiery Patrick Waugh gets. Oh, man. Love the Patrick Waugh energy. He flips out on the bench. Harris says, Ace, do we get a sorry Sheldon chant like the sorry Lindy chant because of the BS his players give him? No, the sorry Lindy chant was in response to because they chanted fire Lindy. So unless people started foolishly chanting fire Sheldon, then there'd be no need to chant sorry. Bungie, was trading McDermott a mistake, you think, Ace? I know he wasn't a point scorer, much of a skater, but he was a hell of an enforcer. No, as much as I liked Curtis McDermott, and he was the poster boy for heavier, edgier, more violent, and a franchise legend forever on this channel for his involvement in that beautiful 5-on-5 melee at Madison Square Garden where he fed Rempe with some beautiful shots of all varieties. The reality is he was never going to be an everyday player for the Devils or any other team in the league. And I do think the guy that we got back in the trade, Zach McEwen, unfortunately got hurt twice already on this young season. I do think he could be a very impactful everyday fourth liner for the Devils. And I really liked what we saw from him in the limited time he played before he got injured both times. And so it sucks not having anyone who could fight in a situation where you want to see it. I do think late in that Tampa game when that goon Douglas popped Nemo in the face that he had to get dealt with by somebody and no one really did anything. But I do think McEwen is going to be an everyday player on this team when he's healthy. And hopefully that's sooner than later, but I think he's going to be out for a while too. Super unfortunate. Yeah, another injury I always forget about. Nobody fights this year. No, not for the Devils. I think we have that one fight, right? The one Dilly fight is it on the year, which is crazy. Through 21 games, right? Terrible. Timu says, because they're not game breakers, it's time for us to move on from this core. Suk, Runnin, you have shown more emotion and passion tonight than the Devils players themselves. What is that really saying, though? Timu says, so no Eastern Conference Finals. As of right now, I'm going to say no. But I could get right back there if somehow this team could be respectable until Jack Hughes comes back, and then we start resembling the team that we saw early on in the season with Jack, then anything's possible. But as of right now, it's all kind of ugly at the moment. Like, we could really take a nosedive with Jack out of the lineup, and by the time he comes back, we could really be in a hole. As crazy as that sounds, with the start that we had, the division and the conference is so tight with teams being separated by not a lot of points that we could really just and crash out. And by the time he comes back, end up in a hole. I really hope that's not the case. But now I'm officially very, very, very concerned. And again, it's not as much as the losses as the fashion in which they lost and the way we just looked lifeless. Devils 13 says his team needs a villain. Someone every other team hates that drags these guys into the fight. Too passive. Completely agree. Completely agree. We need some guys that hate losing and that will have no problem doing what it takes to win. And just really irritating guys. Larry, anyone who thinks that trading Plot is on the table are delusional. No one contending team would want him, even if $3 million is retained. That I disagree with, Larry. If we retain $3 million, I think some contenders may take him, but I do agree with your overall sentiment that it's very difficult to trade him. Obviously, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, Claude Lemieux, sure. I mean, give me a poor man's Claude Lemieux. Jason said last year was to get heavier, then he scrapped that for speed. You need a mix of it. I agree. You need both. Nason doesn't look the same. No, he obviously doesn't. He missed tons of time. He was out for roughly 6 months all in from playoffs when he came back this year. Maybe it's going to take him a long time to get up to speed, or maybe he never looks the same again. I mean, let's be real. He had a pretty serious procedure, I believe, and maybe this is kind of, the beginning of the decline for him. I don't know. I just hope some of these guys wake up and come back to life, because without Jack Hughes in the lineup, for everyone else to just start nosediving at the same time is pretty damn brutal. Suk says Luke can build championship caliber teams, but he leaves them gutted by the time he's done. If you can get a cup before that happens, it's worth it, in my opinion. Of course it is. You sell everything for a cup. If you have to suck for 20 years afterwards, then so be it. What do we have right now? We have one single playoff round won in 13 years. Let it sink in. One single round. David Ace, what do you think about the Devils getting Ryan Reeves so he can fight and run players into the glass like a freight train to protect Nico, Jack, and Bratter? He wouldn't play every game here either. I would obviously be for that, but I think he's probably chilling in San Jose himself too. I'm pretty sure he's in no hurry to go anywhere. Tropical says anyone who thinks Fitz's job in jeopardy and not in the cards. Wait, anyone who thinks Fitz's job in jeopardy not in the cards, I'd be stunned with this ownership group. Absolutely a group that covets profits over winning. I mean, it's a fair concern, and part of the reason why I think, that he might be very, very safe. Chase, no, I appreciate Mercer going net front, but he's too small. We need someone with size who could do that. I would like someone doing that, but I have no interest in moving from Mercer. That I could tell you. Trading Mercer would be psychotic, in my opinion. You're not getting another guy that could do what he could do for $4 million a year, and we have him for next year too. David says tequila. Thank you, Ace. So Florida has any player's dream to play for? It certainly seems that way. It certainly seems that way. The last time I got sad was Parisi. No more. I'm not attached to these slugs. Oh, I certainly would be upset for a lot of guys. How could you not, man? Come on. Twitter bunnies would take their fandom to whatever team Jack and Nico go to. Bungie, speaking of Hall, I picked up a Hall Heritage Adidas jersey last week. Very nice. Yeah, people could slander Hall all day. Oh, I showed this the other day. Oh no. Did I hit the no, it's still on. I showed my my Yager. I showed my Yager, but now that the painful reminder, I can't see because it's stupid. Can you see the logo? The 2012, the Zach Parise. And then we finish it off with another name just mentioned, Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall. Some random T-shirts throughout the years. Suk, I hate the way Hall left, but my goodness, did he drag the corpse of this team as far as he could? Yeah, what a season. What a season it was for Taylor Hall to win the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player and drag that Devils team to the playoffs. Ace, if Gunter had Nico or Bratt, has to go for a big fish. Ooh. If I had to pick the trade one, it's a hard one. But just because of position and his defense, I would pick to trade Bratt and keep Nico. And it would kill me to trade either one of them. But Nico is a center, which obviously we are in much more dire need of. And because he's so good defensively, it's a hard decision. But if I had to pick one, I would pick to trade Bratter. But it would kill me. Justin says, Jack Hughes would rather be on a date than try to get back to playing hockey. So, like, I have to take issue with statements like this. Like, what do you want the kid to do, right? Like, it sucks that he got hurt. I totally get it. But do you want him to sit in his house and do nothing all day? Like, let him go out and show what pop stars. It is what it is. And I feel bad for guys like him that, just want to have some semblance of a normal life. And I'm not going to cry a river for them because you get paid handsomely and you're playing hockey and all that. But when stuff like this happens, it probably is pretty shitty because people are going to say stupid stuff like Justin saying here, like he would rather be on a date than try to get back to playing hockey. Like, what is he supposed to do to try to get back to playing hockey? He has an injury that has to heal. So he shouldn't go on dates with hot pop stars. He should just be home, looking at his cast and being like, please get better so I could play hockey. Like, let's be real. Mario says, to be honest, I'm surprised no one was going to step up to fight. We aren't heavier, edgier, more violent unless the other team is like that first. I agree. Suk says you need a team-altering move of Eastern Conference Finals in the future. I agree with that, too. How I got her, Jeremy Proper. How many man games lost this year for Devils versus the rest of the league? I think even Florida might have beat. Let's see. This is even a thing you could find. Oh, this is some crazy chart that's going to give me a headache. Yeah, it looks like Buffalo, Florida, and Vegas have us beat. This is let me see if there's a better one. I have to look at this more in depth, but I'll drop a link in the description or link in the chat rather. But it looks like a couple other teams have us beat. David, Isaac Poulter is now with the Winnipeg Jets organization. He is no longer, the Devils did not re-sign him last year in the summer, and he signed with the Jets. So a Tom Wilson type would rejuvenate this team. I wish we had a guy like him. I think every team and fan base of every team wishes they had a guy like him. Tom Wilson on this team would have been really, certainly would. Mario says, we got guys who could definitely be a Claude type guy, but they don't have the balls to do it. To some extent, I'm going to give Timo that credit. To some extent, it's still a far cry from Claude. Far, far cry, but he's the closest thing we have at the moment. And coincidentally, Claude Lemieux is his agent. Team is soft serve ice cream. We need popsicles. Field an offer for Daniel Amesbury from the ECHL. Oh, I enjoy Diamond Hands. He definitely could fight. Ace, who do you think has better hair between Nico and Bratt? Oh my God. It's totally derailed here. David said trading Bratt would break me. And then Suk says, it'd be hard, but you'll forget about a Bratt trade if they win a cup, which is true. A cup fixes everything, no matter what it is. SST said, I won't be alive to see the Devils waste the next cup. Come on, man. We need to get one more. We need one more. Selected boy, why did we trade Adam Henrique for Sammy Vatanen again? I think we desperately needed D. And, I mean, yeah, Henrique on this team would be fun to still have him, but I don't think that makes us much better either. Doesn't make us better to some extent, sure. But, yeah, these people want to, like, yo, what do you think he's a hockey robot? Like, he plays hockey and then goes home and watches hockey highlight tapes and does off-ice training exercises? Like, the people are crazy. This guy's a 24-year-old kid. Let him go try to, date pop stars. Holy shit. I'm never going to complain about a guy doing that. It's crazy. He should be home trying to get back to playing hockey. Like, what? Like, dude, go hang out with the pop stars, my guy. Let's go. But, people are just impossible to please. It's the world we live in. And the bigger name the person or more money they make, the more of a target they become, I think, for this type of stuff. I'm furious that he's not playing, but what are we going to do? I don't want him to live the life of a prisoner in his own home because he's injured. Like, what kind of life is that? Yeah, Claude is his agent, my guy. Claude Lemieux is the Timo Meier agent. Two hours in, I still have not caught up with the chat. I'm getting closer. Bro. What do you want from me? I'm trying to read as many comments as possible. I can't win in this place sometimes, right? Shit, man. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So thank you. I don't know what that was about. No, Evan, it wasn't 3 goals in 30 seconds. Don't be crazy. It was 3 goals in 26 seconds, tying an NHL record. Jubilee said, I'd love to have Torts an assistant coach in this team. Maybe he could get them to wake up. Oh, man, I've wanted Torts forever, but that's the Torts dream died a while ago. Torts, I think, is just, I don't know. He's working for ESPN. Maybe he gets back in the league. I'd be curious if he wants to or not. I do think to some extent, like a TV gig is obviously much easier in terms of travel. It's obviously way less lucrative, obviously, the biggest thing. The money's nowhere near the same, but in terms of the actual job, TV way easier. But yeah, I mean, how old is Torts? I feel like he gets one more job at least. Let me see. Oh man, he's 67. Is he done? That's a good one. I don't know. Does Torts get another NHL head coaching job or not? That's a 50-50 for me. NJ Swan Fox, we lost 90% of the puck battles tonight. That's on the players' effort or lack thereof. They don't even have a back-to-back excuse. I agree. At some point, people need to stop looking to point the finger at anything other than the players that are not getting it done. It's just, whose fault is it? Them. All of them. No one else's. Them. The guys on the ice that are not doing what they're supposed to do, that are not giving the effort, and are accruing these losses. Gleason says, we are losing in the first round, guys, but you're going to learn to love it. 95 to 2003 is never more. Oh, man. Come on, man. Suk says, also, I don't care who it inconveniences. Put Timo on right wing and leave him there. How hard is it to let him flourish in his natural position? It can't hurt more than this. I've been saying that for forever. A lot of us have. I kind of gave up on that whole right side thing. The battle that the hill that I'll die on is that he has to be power play 1. Like that is, I will fight till the end of time. He must be on power play 1, but the right side thing, I completely agree that he should be permanently on the right, but he will drive down that side most of the time when he has open ice anyway. So I'm not as animated about that one as the power play 1, but power play 1 came through again. Timo tonight. So here, you're doing well considering the night we had. Yeah, thanks. What a night. David, if I were a player, I'd have Pepe as my agent. I would like to as well. What a legend. Mario says, yeah, it's Saturday, meaning I stay up for as long as I want, and even better, I'm here. Nice. Late night. No school tomorrow. Evan, give me a break, Ace. What was that in reference to? I'm curious. Honky Lips, Ace, the live shows are great. After a game tonight, this is rough. Yeah, you're not kidding, my man. Glad you do what you do, brother. Thanks, man. Nights like tonight are super brutal, but, the show must go on. SST said, we played like crap tonight, but let's be honest, Allen lost this game. My boy Allen shat the bed. I can't blame Allen. The team lost as a team. He didn't play great, in my opinion, but, how many breakaways was there? It was insane. There was quality scoring chances left and right. The players are to be blamed. Listen, I'm an Allen guy. David says, Torts is done. He's a throwback from a different age. He is. But could he get one more final job before it's all said and done? The odds probably are against him, but you never know. SST said, I'm very hard on Markstrom, but tonight Allen deserved it from me. Mia, who would you rather trade, Timo or Bratt? It's a tough one. But Timo brings elements that Bratter does not, and that the physicality, it matters. Like Timo is one of the last guys I would trade. Now, I do think there's other guys that might be better than him, but you need the bull, the kind of guy who's going to get under opponent's skin, crash the net. And you saw Timo do it big time in that Rangers series. Despite not having a point, he was in the mix regularly and making the Rangers' lives hell. And that really matters come playoff time. And so for that reason, if I had to pick, I would trade Bratter before, but that would kill me too. But we don't have any other Bulls really, and especially in the top 6. But these would all, losing any of these guys in any circumstance would really gut me. I do love all these guys. Just like the guys that won cups in the past that were dealt to strengthen teams that were hoping to win another cup. I do get attached to Devils players over time. Obviously, I love this team, and I obviously am all in on this team every year, and losing anybody sucks. Losing any of these guys would be devastating to me. But sometimes these are the things that need to happen for the team to move forward. It's all just part of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 3 goals in 20. Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's 26 seconds. Have some respect. Justin, the Devils are not paying him to go on dates. They're paying him to rehab and play hockey, not go on dates with pop stars no one cares about. Oh, Justin, you've lost the plot, my guy. This is not it. Don't be one of these people. Learn from me. They're paying him to play hockey. That's it. When he's injured and cannot play hockey, he is free to live his life as a 24-year-old man in America. And part of that life could include dating pop stars or anyone else that he chooses to date on his time, his life. Saturday is easily the best day of the week. I think the majority of the nation would agree with you. Swamp Fox, Allen was bad tonight, but the team in front of him was absolutely hard. Completely agree. Honky Lip says, I'm going to the game Monday night. We are going to turn it around that night. That'd be awesome. I hope so. I'll probably be there, hoping to see a much better team at home. Ryder is our OT and shootout guy. Devil says losing any of the Hughes players or Timo would be fine by me. Honky lives. Timo plays tough and seems to play better when the game is scrappy. I'd hate to see him go as well as Bratt. Yeah, I'd hate to see anybody go. David, even though we lost tonight, don't forget to hit the like button for Ace. He's our therapist tonight. Yeah, hit the thumbs up for your boy. What a painful night. Yeah, Monday can't come soon enough. They must win the game. That's very close to a must win in my opinion. 4 in a row would be yeesh. Oh, people are telling Justin that, yeah, he's off base with these comments. Yeah. I mean, some people are lost. Try to guide them back in the right direction around these parts. But, yeah. Imagine if Jack dated Sydney Sweeney. Oh, boy. Hey, Russo, just make the playoffs and anything could happen. Just got to hold it down right now. Completely agree. Completely agree. Just stay respectable so that we could gel at the right time and hit the playoffs running. Would be nice. Why can't I have a nice life when it's getting riddled with injury? I think I go with Tate. I, too, would be honest. She looks good. Mia, who doesn't have trade protection with Bratt and Timo? That will probably make the difference. I don't think any of these things are remotely going to happen this year. But let's see. I don't even know. What is the trade situation? The clauses in the contract. Let's see. Yeah, Bratter at 7.875. It's pretty nice. So he has a no move clause this year and next year and 27. Yeah, he has something every year. The last 3 years have no move and a no trade, I think. Yeah, it is crazy. Everyone has some sort of trade protection on this team. Let's see what Timo's looks like. Yeah, same thing. No move through 27, 28, and then a no trade, I think, for the last 3 years. Yeah. Jack should be miserable as long as we are miserable. Yeah, he should be locked up in his house. You have no dates with hot chicks. You stay home. You get ready to play hockey. Meyer says, it's been too long since I've heard him say, how about them Devils and are you not entertained? It feels like an eternity. Certainly feels like an eternity. Gleason, he should be locked in a castle until it's healed with just a couple magazines and prison food. I agree. He should be behind bars and someone should bring in a tray of some slop and slide it through the opening in the bars. Give him his daily meals. Devil says the fact that anyone's talking about who Jack is dating is what is wrong with hockey and sports these days. Yeah, I agree. People become completely wrapped up in these people's lives, but this is the world we live in. Everyone wants to be on social media. Everyone wants to, look at these TMZ type things and who's doing this and who's going to parties. And it's all pretty wild. I don't really care at all who these guys are dating, whatever. Just go win us some games and win a cup. Terrible. She's an attractive actress, one with potential. So Sydney Sweeney has great genes, and that's all that matters. Yeah, you guys are funny, man. Those are some ads, huh? David Ace, did you ever like Pete DeBoer as a coach? Yeah, how could you not? He brought us to our last. Put it this way: our last second and third round playoff wins were with Pete DeBoer behind the bench. Man, I would have never thought, even back then, that 2012, that our last appearance in the Cup Finals was, not going to be for quite some time, and that was already 13 years ago. It's freaking crazy. Yeah, come this playoff season, it'll be 14 years. 14 years since the Devils have even made it to the third round, to the conference finals. 14 years. Selected Boy says, hey, almost anyone would date Sydney Sweeney, even me. Oh, you would? You would lower your standards for her, Selected Boy? Yeah, the rule is you don't win cups with Pete DeBoer. I think he eventually gets over the hump. It's been quite some. He's coached a lot of good teams. He had some good teams in Vegas. He had some really good teams in San Jose. He had some good teams in Dallas. Yeah, there might be a DeBoer curse too. Man, it's pretty late already, huh? Saturday night, though. I know a lot of you guys are feeling it. Saturday Night Live. Bungie, we need to bring back the bottom stripe on the jersey that is missing. That's what's missing on this team. Oh, man. The bottom stripe is clutch. I hope they do bring it back at some point to the regular red and white jerseys. That'd be phenomenal. I also would like it. I would like it if it was incorporated in whatever the new alternate's going to be. I guess I'm trying to manage my expectations for the new alternate because, in my opinion, they underdelivered last time around. And, I think it has the potential to do the same this time around, but I hope it's the number one thing they have to get right is it should be another black jersey, but the Devils' main logo has to be the crest logo. Like the jersey thing, like put that on the shoulder as a small patch or something. It needs to be our main logo. Richard, too bad Gotti and Ward didn't play for the Devils. Oh, boy. Blood and Guts Warriors. Mario said we should do an SNL skit with Jack and Tate McRae. Oh, boy. I'm surprised we haven't seen something like it yet. I mean, the memes and all the things going around are pretty, endless. Gleason, are we people even sure that it was Tate McRae? I don't think anyone's sure, but someone produced a photo of her in what appeared to be the same exact outfit as the photo with Jack. So I have to think that it was her. And even the earrings seem to match. It certainly, at first I was like, that's not her. Just because I thought it was just like some, kind of like rumor, like a rumor mill site trying to spread something. But it certainly seems like it was her. I'm a believer now. DeBoer got screwed by Ottinger. Well, what DeBoer got screwed by was basically calling out Ottinger, I think, which was kind of the beginning of the end for him. If we fix the jerseys, the curse is over. Take all the names of the players' backs and just have them play for the crest on the front. Yeah, right? If there wasn't a league mandate, that'd be interesting. No names on the back, just numbers. On the jersey, the devil mascot will have a knife in his hand instead of a pitchfork. Well, when the stripe was removed, their cup hopes were removed. Yeah. Abrams says, yeah, bro, don't end the live for at least another hour. This is our therapy. All right. I guess I won't for a little while. As long as there's people chatting, I guess, and it's not all ridiculous. The image was from the back and just her hair. If she were to stand up, I'd be able to tell you with 100% certainty. Oh, thank you. She didn't, but it certainly seemed like her. Honky Lips, hope the team takes a page from the Blackhawks third jersey, black jersey, and a bit of a tribute to the Pine Barrens. The black Blackhawks jersey looked pretty sick. Bring back the bottom stripe. It keeps them from giving breakaways to bottom feeding teams like Philadelphia. Yeah, well, now we're just into like the nonsense hour, I think. Selected boy, what do you think of this alternative jersey color combo? Black, pine green, and red. I don't want to see green anymore. I'm pretty much over the green. Like I just want a black alternate jersey. Yeah, 14 years already since it'll be 14 years when the playoffs come up again. It's been 13 and a half years since that Cup Finals, and it'll be 14 by the time this year's playoffs come around. We are doomed if Jack is dating a Canadian music artist like that. I mean, how? I wonder how they met. Probably at some sort of, I don't know, actually. I mean, a lot of these younger folks probably first correspond on the internet, on all these platforms, I'd imagine. Mason, I feel like we do bad on away games. I hope we don't lose on Monday. Get better, Jack. Go Devils. Yeah, that'd be nice. They met as she was recently cutting his steak for him. David, I feel old. I have no idea who these girls you're talking about are. I only know because of... So Tate McRae, I only learned who she was because she did something at the All-Star game a year or two ago, right? I think she was like an honorary captain or some shit. She may have performed too. I can't remember, but I think she was a captain and like drafted a team, or she was doing something at the All-Star game. That's how I first learned of who she was. And I remember at the time I was like, who is this chick? I have no idea who she is. I think she blew up much more since then because this was a couple years ago at least. Tropical, one game I want to see how we look is on the road after Turkey Day, a day game in Buffalo. Which team shows up with more fire, passion after a major holiday? We will see. Yo, you constantly cry about your messages, bro. Grow up. I've said this last time. I think by the time a live is over, there's thousands, literally thousands of messages typed in the chat. I don't read all of them. It's not possible. I don't see all of them, and I certainly don't show all of them. I try my best, but people like you make it miserable. Bungie, real talk, what would you do to make this team cup ready? You could move whoever you want for whatever player is realistically available. The thing is, I don't think the major needle movers are available. But if we're going to just play hypotheticals, I would call, and again, I'm going to preface the statement with, I understand it's not realistic and I don't think it will happen or can happen. So I'm going to preface it with that. But the number one thing I would do is call Ottawa and make an absurd offer to get Brady Tkachuk. I would overpay for him and not even care. That's 1,000% what I would do. I think a guy like him helps both on and off the ice, and a guy like him is a true like shock to the culture and a culture shifting move for the team. I don't think they would trade him. So, in terms of guys that are realistically available, yeah, like I would love a guy like O'Reilly. I don't know how much of a culture shift that is, or if that's just kind of putting Band-Aid on a gunshot wound at this point. But I certainly would be interested in him. And then, you take a look at anybody who would make this team better. And currently, I think there's a lot of guys that would make the team better. But if you really want to, like the most impactful move, I think there is to go get some, I don't think Tage Thompson's available, but like if he was potentially available, I would kick the tires on that. But in terms of big, people are looking for big names. I don't think really you're going to see many of them moved around. And I certainly don't think the Devils will be involved. I'm expecting kind of minor moves. So I don't blame Running. I may have come on too strong. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Pesci out for about a month. My ass Devils act like CIA with injuries. Yeah, you should already know, though. It's all to keep it close to the vest. Metal face, bring back the lower stripe, make the third jersey the black starter jersey with the jersey logo on the shoulders, then never change them again. I'd be on board with that. Shit, the black starter jersey just add, and I think this is one of the many things I probably said at some point in the video was like, yeah, a slight tweak to that jersey would be perfect. Whether it's the jersey, the jersey script logo or the old school Devil's Den of the devil with the stick and the pitchfork, any little tweaks like that would be great. But it's fine as is as well. Jason, no, she was an honorary captain drafter, and the Hughes brothers were captain of another team. Okay. I'm going to grab a mid-strength beer. Richard Ace, thoughts on who is in between the pipes on Monday? Oh, I'd be assuming Markey is not injured. I think it will be him. I don't know. If Markey's not injured, it'll be him. If he still is injured, it'll be Allen. We could trade for Brady, who I'd love in this team, but would still need a center. No, I agree with that. Metalface, 1,000% in favor of making an unrealistic offer to Ottawa for Brady Tkachuk. Yeah, I don't think they do it, but I would at least try to make them think about it. And do that with other guys that you think would be a good fit. Selected boy, I'll say something about the jersey that I've said before. Keep everything else. Just put the logo in the same color with the white and red shadow in the middle. I don't like all the extra stripes. I just feel like it's just not it. I do think that the Brady ship has sailed horribly, 1,000%. Fitz doesn't jump on opportunities. I feel like it could have happened a couple years ago. It could have happened. Snow says Ace in full desperation mode talking about a Thompson trade. I prefaced it with saying I don't think they're going to move him. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't think any of these guys are getting moved. Tate would be a great winger with Jack. Justin, sorry, I'm just miserable tonight as long as Jack Hughes gets back quickly. Maybe they should play old school trap hockey. Maybe. Hey, Russo, Devils fans on Twitter always ripping into Don. Let the guy be. He's cool. Oh, yeah, these people are miserable, man. Yeah, because he called them the Rangers by accident. Worked for the Rangers for 20 years or whatever it was. And it slipped out. Like, yeah, people are brutal. It is what it is. I like Don a lot. I've talked to him on several occasions. He is an old school fan. He wants this team to win desperately. And, not everyone's perfect. He's trying his best. He will continue to get better. But people are just miserable in their own existence. And they point out every little mistake people make. And that, this is just online. This is what the online world has become. People just talking smack. The Don hate has been brutal, for sure. But these are miserable people on the internets. Bungie, realistically, there's not going to be any big moves from anyone this season. Oh, I think at least one or two teams will make a sizable move. But people are talking about superstar names. I don't know that we see any of them get dealt. So I heard people calling the current Devils MSG crew a frat club. Who said that? I didn't see that. Some of the stuff is just painful. I don't get the Don hate. Neither do I. But again, people like to complain. So I do think you're going to see people complain no matter what it is. All the time. It's the world we live in. But this is the Chicago cut, guys. The name of the restaurant on the jersey. I'm going to the bathroom. Back in 2 minutes. I'm not going to necessarily start winding it down right away if you guys are still talkative. But give me some, thoughts, comments. I don't know. I do like the suggestions. If anyone has any suggestions that aren't ridiculous, throw suggestions out there. I'm using the bathroom for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. I'll leave you with this somewhat foreshadowing Chicago cut photo taken the night of the Jack Hughes injury. Look at those wreaths, though. Those are some pretty nice wreaths they got there, huh? Looks like a nice restaurant to cut a finger off at. I'll be right back. I hope when the season is over, this is not the photo that illustrates or sums up the season, because if this team crashes out and burns, I will say at the moment, this is the front running imagery that will stick with us for the duration of the 25-26, or looking back on this 25-26 season. That would be a travesty. And I certainly hope that's not the case, but we will see how it goes. Mario, we all are. This team has mostly let me down. Only 3 playoff runs that I watched, so the 2012 run doesn't count, but just 1 series win. Yeah, for newer fans, I was also talking to, shout out to my buddy Matt. I was texting with him, and I was telling him, the glory days, the only things that get me by on days like this. I watch clips all the time, and it's like, if I only knew losing and heartbreak, it would make it that much more painful. Or maybe to some extent, maybe ignorance is bliss. Who knows, right? I didn't think of it that way. Like, if you don't know winning and all you know is like celebrating making the playoffs, then maybe you're not as distraught as myself and some of the other longtime fans are, because we know what winning looks like. And this ain't it. Seriously, why the Don hate keyboard tough guys? Yeah. People on X, the most cancerous platform. I agree. I was just looking at, X's. I haven't looked at X since I got on here, and I have a lot of notifications. What are you doing putting on the foil every game? I don't know what that means. That picture is the equivalent of the OBJ boat picture. Oh, boy. For those that don't understand the reference, at the time, high-profile wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. on a boat with a bunch of his teammates for the New York Football Giants on, I believe, was that an off week, or was it a bye week? I can't remember, but essentially the whole season just crashed and burned after the photo came out, and everyone kind of referred to the photo going forward as like the beginning of the end. Was the jersey an attempt to get red out of the jersey and maybe make it the only jersey? I don't think so at all. I think they'll always have the iconic Devils logo as the main logo for most of their jerseys. Bungie, I'm going to head out. Appreciate the show. Have a go and have a good night, man. SJ says Don's goated. No, David. Frank the Tank was not in that picture. So this picture is where you could see the Chicago cut jersey, and you see Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes. Jack Hughes is right there holding the jersey. His brother Luke directly to his left. That is the kind of foreshadowing photo. Now, there was a separate photo. Bear with me 1 second here. I wasn't prepared to go to this dark place again, but here we are, right? This photo, Frank the Tank is in, and he later clarified when everyone was trying to blame him for whatever the hell happened to Jack. People were like, "This is Frank's fault. The Frank the Tank curse," or whatever the hell they were saying. The next day after all this broke, Frank the Tank, in fact, did say that he had left the restaurant before the Hughes brothers arrived, and you could see that aligns because they are not in this photo. And this must have been fairly early on in the Devils' dinner, because it looks like the bread, the kind of appetizer, or maybe there's a little appetizer tower there on the far right. I missed that before, but it looks like the bread and everything is largely untouched. So this was probably early on in their dinner before the Hughes brothers arrived. But there is Frank the Tank at the same restaurant at some point as the Devils. Richard, if the Predators continue to play poorly, I could see Stammer, a big move, going to another club. Trotz telling him, go see if you can win another one. With retention, I would love Stammer. He's a shell of his former self, but he's a winner, and I think he would be a big culture shift to this team, and I think he still can help on the ice, especially, if you had Stammer. Stammer as a 3C would be nice. with the option of playing him on one of the top 2 lines if you wanted to. But I would need, he's making a lot of money. There would need to be retention, or they would have to take Palat, in my opinion. But I do think there's a road for that to work. I certainly would inquire to Nashville about getting both Stammer and O'Reilly if there could be a sensible deal. Amagi, I just still can't believe the freak accident happened to Jack of all people. That's what makes it so absurd. Of course, the freak accident happens to the last guy on the team you want it to happen to. That's just how it works. The curse of the Devils. No, he's no winding down. Just drink the rocks drink or whatever. Throw some Red Bull in there. Well, you know what? Maybe I will do. Cheers to you guys. We'll do another bottle shot brought to you by Terramana, the tequila of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Loser beverages. Jason says, SST, how many accounts are you up to now? At least 5 or 6. Yeah, got the Christmas decorations in the back. Ace, you think Fitz may be in on Braden Shen? I'm not a fan, but I've seen some posts about this. Comments a center. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any one guy is going to fix this mess right now. We just need to be able to not sink and get the most important piece back, which is Jack Hughes. Now, could Shen be the guy? Sure. I wouldn't want to pay a lot for him either. I think he makes a decent amount of money too. 6.5 for a few more years. I would inquire on everybody and then go from there. See what the most realistic fit is in terms of what you have to give up to get them and the cap hit. O'Reilly at 4.5 is super intriguing. What's going on, Maria? What up, Ace? Everyone, can't believe I was at the game tonight. That was pretty epic. Just got home. Oof. You're a warrior, Maria. I thought about going. I'm really glad I didn't. I would have been in pain and suffering in those stands. Braden Shen looks old. Maybe a change of scenery would help. And I think that's for a lot of guys. People are saying that about Stammer, too. I think he would be rejuvenated by going to a team that had something to play for. Snow Devil, I like Don. Also, he's a lifelong Devils fan. Something I wish all of our media people would be. In terms of media, I mean, I'm trying to think if I could think of any teams in pro sports. Typically, the media people are not all lifelong fans of the team. While that would be cool for probably every team to see, I don't know how realistic that is. SJ, that's rough. If I saw 3 goals under 30 seconds, I'd be so mad. Oh, the yearning to see a cup lifted keeps them on the train. Mario says, I just want to see a deep run. A cup win would set me for life. I hope I see one more before it's over. I've been lucky to see my teams win championships. Frank the Tank. No, he was there at some point. This reminds me of the photo at the end of The Shining. Suk says, I love how Nemitz is so far away from Frank, considering all of Frank's rants on him. They probably don't even know. I'd be curious to know how much they knew about all that going into it. A lot of people did bring that up when they saw the photo. They were like, oh, did you apologize to Nemitz and making jokes? Paha, Stadium Series jerseys are sick. Make them alternate. I don't think they even can by rules. I would like to see an inverse of it. An inverse of the Stadium Series jersey would be pretty sick. A black jersey with the red logo without the circle, that'd be nice. Tropical player I'd love here as a guy I watch a lot is Pavel. I don't even know how to say that. I think he would be a great add to our team. Would be a spark for sure, but no coincidence that Fitz gets us these big players. I'm going to do the call-in soon. Definitely not tonight. I'm working on a technological integration. Mario, people are saying the Chicago cut pick signifies the beginning of the end, but it had Christmas decorations in the back, and that was the beginning of the end last year. Oof. That is true. You're right. These guys hopefully just need a change of scenery, then a big roster shakeup. Back to Continental Airlines we go. I would love it. Cheers to you, SJ. Tough stretch for sure. Hey, Russo, all the passers we have on this Stammer would thrive. Yeah, Stammer could shoot with the best of them. Suk, if Nemitz didn't know who Frank was before that dinner, he definitely went home and saw all of his rants on him to find out who he just took a pic with at dinner. Probably not, but I'd be so curious. So curious. Stick Figs, I've been saying this for a while. We've been a 40 or less minute team. Hopefully tonight is a wake-up call to play all 60 plus going forward, and they figure it out now. If they don't figure it out nearly immediately, I'm hoping we see something. Maybe an earth-shattering, rattling move. Because if this is another season squandered, we're another season closer to obscurity, in my opinion. Jason, the fact that we're 27th in 5-on-5 scoring is super concerning. It means the depth has not been fixed at all. Yeah, it looked like it was fixed for a while. But with Jack down, everything looks pretty bad right now. Mario, I know we will see one more in our life. I guarantee it. I hope so. SST says I'd call in and obliterate running, but he would not let me. You've been called out to call in like a million times, and you've never done it. So for you to say that now is just so ridiculous because you've had the offer a million times and made every excuse in the book as to why you could not. And there's several people here that could attest to that. So I don't know where you come up with these claims that you do this, that, and the other thing, but when you had ample chances, you did nothing. You did nothing. Evan Spitzy, favorite food. Favorite food, definitely Italian. If you're looking for like specific dishes, there's so many. In no particular order, I'm going to have to go penny vodka, obviously a classic, rigatoni vodka as well. Penny vodka, rigatoni vodka, pretty much anything vodka. Love a good vodka sauce. That would definitely be high on the list. I'm obviously a very big chicken parm guy. Love the chicken parm. I'm trying to think what else. Medium rare filet mignon, always a very good one, or a nice, New York strip or whatever, but got to be medium rare, or rarer. In some instances, I could do like full rare, but yeah. So in general, pasta, chicken parm, steak. I'm trying to think. When I'm obviously very good pizza is always good, but that's like more of a that's not like a serious food. But I always love a good pizza. Always love a good sandwich. Some kind of cutlet sandwich with some mutts, roasted peppers, a little balsamic. The balsamic glaze drizzled on there. You drizzle on that balsamic glaze. Poof. New Jersey, one of the best food locations on planet Earth. TJK says the collapse has begun prematurely. SST is so full of it. Yeah, he is. Justin, this team will lift Lord Stanley one more time before I die. Well, I guess how old are you, Justin? I guess it matters how old you are. Mario, we got to get one in the next 40 years. If not, I'm leaving the country. Honkulus, vodka sauce is key to life, for sure. Suk said, I love me a good meatball parm. Tropical Flamingo, want to see the Blues beat the Rags to the next win across the tri-state area and then get spanked by us in the final leg right before Turkey Day. Amagi, chicken parm at Tommy's Tavern, but subbing the parm for their house-made vodka is insanely good. Oh, I love a good vodka parm. A lot of places will refer to that as the drunken parm, the drunken chicken parm. Tommy's Tavern, huh? I usually would never order something like that at a place like Tommy's Tavern, but I guess they're capable of delivering on something like that. I actually was at a Tommy's Tavern very recently with some family members. What the hell did I get? I think I got something lame. Baby beef liver with Canadian back bacon. I wish I had it right now to take my mind off of BS we will not fix. Oh, well, first of all, I got my I have my consolation dessert in the freezer ready to go, and that is a pint of Ben and Jerry's to just wash down my sorrows. Landon, have you tried the stick toss beer at the Rock? I actually have not. I said my favorite food is McDonald's when I'm starving. It just hits different. Yeah, it's straight poison, but it's usually pretty good. Selected Boy says pepperoni pizza with pepper flakes. Oh my God. Jack, chicken cutlet mutts dry, nothing on it. I mean, listen, I would eat it, but you put a little roasted peppers and then balsamic on there. Now we're talking. Just cutlet and mutts, I'll do it, but you know, you could definitely level that up with a couple extra things added. Like chicken cutlet and mutts is like what my little nephew eats because he doesn't want anything else. He's like, yeah, just that. Hands down, Penny Alavaca, sick dish, just outstanding. Larry, I'm having chicken parm for my birthday dinner because you can't find any veal in all of Asia. That's interesting. I never thought of that. I do like a good veal too. If it's a nice thinly pounded veal parm is always good. I like something they call veal saltimbocca, which most people here probably don't know what it is, which is very good. White Castle after all night drinking. Oh boy. White Castle is delicious. Stickfix says Ace definitely takes me as either an Italian food or pork roll guy. First of all, it's Taylor ham. And it's delicious. But hey Russo, what are some not so hot names that you would be interested in? Did anyone who's going to bring a will to win and physicality to this team, or goal scoring, or all of the above? Chicken parm thin cutlet, very good. Metal Faces, don't worry, everyone. I'm going on a cruise next week. Every time I can't watch the games live, they go on a streak. Well, hopefully that continues. Landis of the Trifecta Pizza at Tommy's Tavern is fire. Sook, which Tommy Tavern, though, makes a big difference? Freehold, Edison, or Seabright? There's more than just that. There's Tommy's Taverns in more places than that, too. A Russo, Ace, you ever been to Fernando's Steakhouse? Are you talking about the what the hell do they call that? The Rodizio? Are you talking about the Rodizio spot? I thought it was Fernandez, but it could be Fernando's. Is it the Rodizio place? If it's the Rodizio place, I have been there, obviously. Evan says chicken cutlet, peppers, mutz, cheese, balsamics, and basil. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Mm-hmm. Love me some pasta or chicken parm. Stickfix, so much you can do with the humble spud. Carried my picky as a kid. Larry says, talking food without Tasha. Where is she tonight? She probably had something better to do. Jack McCabe, what do you put on your bagel? I like cream cheese, but my favorite bagel would be a Taylor ham, egg and cheese on an everything. Is delicious. And if the establishment offers it, throw a hash brown on there too. One of the local bagel places to me makes a Taylor ham, egg and cheese where they put a nice hash brown on there, and that thing is delicious. Absolutely delicious. Hey, Russo, was just in Sicily a couple weeks ago. Food was next level. I want to go so bad. So bad. Bazzarelli's and Moonaki has amazing veal. The veal Bazzarelli is smothered in fresh mutts and prosciutto. That's basically a saltimbocca. Yeah, they must have just like kind of hijacked it and called it their name. I'm getting an everything bagel, stick figs, but I do like egg bagels too. Egg bagels are good. They're not as good as everything. I was at a place that had an egg everything bagel. I was like, an egg bagel and everything. This is peak life. Peak life. Ice cream is the old reliable, right? Ben and Jerry's. Nothing soothes a painful night like tonight. Natasha is on a date. It's possible. Mario, what is veal meat? Veal is a type of meat, Mario. Damn, bro, you're 13. You don't know what veal is? Look it up. I mean, it might scar you for life, but you're 13, so maybe it's time you learn about this this food item. Tasha was on earlier, probably lost hope reading the comments. Probably. Ooh, that's a good one too. Ace's favorite cereal? Top 3 in no particular order would probably be Apple Jacks, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and either Cocoa Puffs or Reese's Puffs. I really enjoy both of those. That'd be the top 4. I can't put them in order right now. I'd have to think really hard, and I'm not going to waste that time. But Apple Jacks, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cocoa Puffs, Reese's Puffs, that would be the top 4. All delicious. And now you kind of made me want ice cream too. Stickpick says, keep cereal rather. Keep hash browns on the side and off my bagel. It deserves to be appreciated on its own. I like it on the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. I'm not going to lie. I like it on the side too. But, Suk, all right, well, I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. This team stinks, needs a shakeup. Who knows if we'll get it? It was my pleasure. Take care. Later, selected boy. I've heard Angelica's and Seabright's very good. Are you talking about the chicken parm? I've heard it's a very good restaurant overall, though, Tropical Flamingo. Favorite cold cut? Probably salami. Probably salami. I like roast beef, too. Cocoa Puffs for me. Honky Lips, not a food comment, but do yourself a favor and watch hurling. It's like hockey on grass. Ancient Irish sport. It's awesome. Where would I even watch that? Egg bagel slap, no doubt. Apple Jacks are incredible stick figs. Jack is on a roll. Favorite cake? Favorite cake would be probably Carvel ice cream cake. And then after that, it would probably be some kind of exotic cheesecake factory flavor cheesecake. Ooh, Honey Nut Cheerios in the clutch in the morning for school. I ate Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms the weekends. I do like. Yeah, so now I really know why Mario Alex is looking forward to the weekends. He stays up late. He eats the better cereals. You know, during the week, it's all Honey Nut Cheerios and going to bed early and going to school. But on the weekends, he's living his best life. He's like, I'm staying up till 1 a.m. watching these lives on hockey YouTube channels. And in the morning, I'm going to wash it down with Cocoa Puffs. He's probably drinking soda, too. You drinking Joe Cola out there, Mario? Jack, haven't had Cinnamon Toast Crunch and an attorney. I got to indulge. There's not many things better than the super cinnamony saturated milk at the end of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That milk, there's nothing like it. It's like nectar from heaven. That you could see all the red and the colors in there, and then you just drink that cinnamony milk. Oh my God, I could taste it now. David, prosciutto best. Oh yeah, if that's included in cold, I don't think of that as cold cuts. But if you're counting that, that's clearly number one. Like the number one meat of all time is prosciutto. Clearly, salami a distant second. But if that's included in the combo, that's easily number one. Haven't I got the food? Anything to distract us from this hockey team? Yeah, it's bad, guys. Stanislav, what's going on? Brooklyn Bagels and Randolph have everything egg bagels. Everything egg bagels are a good combo. I didn't come across that until probably a couple years ago. Fudgy the whale Carvel. I'll eat it, but I like the regular one better with the crunchies. Corn Pops. Oof. Right now we got Crush and Pepsi, but my sister gets the Pepsi before me, but at least I get the Crush. Crush is the orange soda, right? I'll drink Pepsi, but Coke is so much better than Pepsi. It's not even close. Best feelings, cold water when you're dying of thirst. Peeing when you're about to explode in a nice bowl of cereal. Cereal is ridiculous. Stick figs, the fast food where I live is better, but I really miss having banger local places every block back in Jersey. 10 to 15-minute bike ride in any direction. You have something that slaps. Very nice. Very nice. Do you have In-N-Out Burger out there, Stick Figs? Carrot cake, my favorite. I can't get down with it. Carrot cake. Raisin Bran Crunch? Come on, Jack. carrot cake and raisin bran crunch. What are you, 90, Jack? Are you eating the are you eating the raisin bran before you go out and play bingo? Evan also loves carrot cake. Hey, Russo. So, bro, check this out. My missus is Polish. Crazy beware. I've heard that before. We went to Poland years back. Her Nona, who's 88, ripping shots of spiritus. Great time drinking with the Polish people, and the food was dope too. Nice. I've been to like a boxing match, and I think maybe even a UFC. I forget who it was, where there was a Polish guy fighting, and all the crazy Polish people there with their flags getting rowdy. And it was a very good time also. Yeah, I'm not a carrot cake guy either. Jack in the Box, okay. Larry, best combo is a Reuben with slaw instead of kraut. I like a good Reuben. Man, I haven't had a Reuben in a minute. I do like Reubens a lot. My top 3 are Life, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Captain Crunch. Okay, I went to a Chinese restaurant that had a cake called the Great Wall of Chocolate. It was heavenly. In and Out, a quality fresh cheeseburger for $3.50. Really? Stanislav, I love some, I don't even know how to say that first word, shashlik. Lamb kebabs I like. Paha says, I still miss Erica. Don't tell my girlfriend. Larry, Coke here is actually better. Sugar cane instead of corn syrup. Is that like the Mexican Cokes in the bottle, the glass bottles? Those are phenomenal. SST says Polish food is the best. Jack is a cool guy. What's your favorite steakhouse, guys? I don't know what mine is, but I end up being at Outback the most. Outback's not a real steakhouse. That's fast food, but still decent. Mine would be like a more independent steakhouse in New Jersey. Sloppy Joe. Stick Figs. This chat inspired me to find a quality Reuben and make my yearly Arby's trip. Huh. I actually do not eat seafood at all. Jack, 0 seafood for me. Can't do it. Red Devil, anything with bran in the name is awful. They only call it Raisin Bran because wood pulp with raisins and milk tested poorly in focus groups. Old Homestead is all right, Larry. That's another kind of fancy chain to me, but it'll do. The Bloomin' Onion is fire. I'm a big Bloomin' Onion guy. I like the sauce as well. Can't really go wrong with a Bloomin' Onion, right? I mean, wow. Texas Roadhouse. I haven't been to one of those in forever, too. Iris, the only difference between Coke and Pepsi is that Pepsi is sweeter for the first sip. Oh, you're so mistaken, young man. Coke is so much better than Pepsi. Ace, go to drink. Mine, Moscow Mule with Goose and Goose Mojito. Nowadays, it's typically an Añejo tequila with a splash of Sprite. Like if I'm at a bar, that's probably what I'll order. I'll get like a tequila on the rocks, splash of Sprite. I don't like seafood either. Tropical Flamingo, keep in perspective, we're still tied for second most points in the East with the Wings, despite this brutal 3 games for us. Let's turn this around Monday night for holiday week. Big game indeed. We need to turn it around big time at home. If they look like the team we saw tonight, we're in trouble. But either way, this was a very discouraging loss, and it's not just one game anymore. It's 3 games. Just the total lack of heart and fight, in my opinion, it signifies greater issues than what may meet the eye. And we will see how this team responds. That's why I look old. You need seafood urgently. I'm not eating seafood. Favorite form of swine? Oof. That one's good. Bacon's up there. Prosciutto's up there. I mean, I like every variety of swine pretty much. I've actually never made it to Luger's all these years. So many times. Never made it. So many talks about it, never made it. The blooming onion is delicious, even if it is the nutritional equivalent to smoking crack. Carrot cake and raisin bran have healthy food in the name. No way Ace would eat that. He probably doesn't even eat Fruit Loops. No, I'll eat some Fruit Loops. I forgot. That might round out my top 5. Fruit Loops might make my top 5. Mario, I have been to a Yard House. I do like Yard House. They do have some good stuff. Stanislav says, look, guys, can't win them all. Keep believing. But yeah, 3 in a row is pretty bad. 3 in a row is pretty bad. Jack says, are we at the point of throwing things on the ice Monday night if things go bad? No. You should never do that. The team could get penalized. Guys could get hurt. Throwing stuff on the ice is a huge no-no. Stickfix, some random West Coast NHL fan is stumbling into the stream and wondering why we're having food debates. Then they'll look up the score and probably understand. Hey, Russo. So it's funny. It's funny you mention this. This is the one thing I will eat. Literally the only one thing, and I have dialed it back, is the fried gala mod. Of course, I will eat that. That is the one thing. And I used to order it. Now I kind of always look for something else. I don't know what it is. Over the years, for whatever reason, I just have been even less of a fan of that. And that was the one thing I would eat. I will eat it if someone orders it. And a lot of times people do order it with friends or family. Like someone will want it and I'll say, I'll eat some of it. But I would never order it on my own anymore because unless there's nothing else I like on the menu, which is very rare. But that I will eat for sure. David Ryan, you got to go to Luger's. I know it's probably long overdue. Captain Crunch and Frosted Flakes. Lower down. What a way to cope. Kind of forgot this time as a devil stream. Yeah, this is a bad night. Maria, Luger's is pretty good. Also Keen's. So I was at Keen's once years ago. That's the place with all the pipes on the ceiling, right, Maria? I'm pretty sure that's Keen's. They have all these pipes on the ceiling. That is definitely an amazing old school New York City steakhouse. It's been years. And it was very good from what I remember. For sure. Tropical Flamingo, as far as steakhouses go throughout the country, Burns in Tampa, Florida, and St. Elmo's in Indianapolis are legendary. Top 3 chips list. Does popcorn count into chips, or is that a separate category? If it's just chips, Cooler Ranch Doritos might be number 1, but Cooler Ranch Doritos are definitely in the top 3. I'd have to think about this. That's a hard one. Top 3 chips: Cooler Ranch Doritos, possibly sour cream and onion Pringles. And then I might have to put what would the third one be? Maybe like old school Ruffles, just like plain Ruffles, possibly in there. ShopRite or Stop and Shop? I would say Stop and Shop because the one that's kind of close to where I'm at, there's no one ever there. So I prefer no. I'm not a crowds guy. I want to see nobody. My dream in life is to live on a big farmland and not see human beings in the flesh for weeks on end. It would be phenomenal. Larry says, give up cereal for breakfast. I eat eggs every day. It's more healthy for you. Oh, absolutely. I haven't eaten cereal in forever. It is terrible. It's carbs and sugar, the 2 worst things, but it's so delicious. Stickfix says, Ace versus Frank the Tank in an eating contest. What food are you choosing and are you winning? I'm definitely winning. The food could be whatever. I'm winning 1,000%. It could be whatever. Pizza, hot dogs, whatever it is. All I do is win. Cue up the DJ Khaled track. But no, I would definitely win, and it could be whatever. Oh, we're back on good terms. Yeah, I mean, the reality is, I don't think I've ever had anything fried that was not good. Someone's like, I remember years ago, my mom's like, you want to try this fried zucchini? I'm like, not really, but it's fried. And then I ate it, and she's like, yeah, it's good, right? And I was like, yeah, it's fried. Like, you could fry anything, and I think it'd be delicious. And so it's kind of a cheat code. But Smith & Walensky, great steak. I went to one of those years ago, too, and the mutton chop. I don't think I had that. Jack, Ace needs to be careful he doesn't get stabbed or shot at the Frank the Tank eating contest. Oh, boy. I don't think they'll lose 8 in a row. That would be ridiculous. If that happens, then it'd be over. It would be over in here. Shit, we lost 3 in a row now. If they lose the next one, I'm deathly afraid of this chat. Never mind a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, and an 8th. Stiffy says, shout out to the Utz, no salted chips. Utz and Joe Chips, goated brands. I don't know Joe Chips. All right, we've completely derailed here. Call me crazy, but I'd love Panarin on a line with Jack. I'm not a Panarin guy. Stickvic says, not even breaking a sweat. No, definitely not. That's light work. Mario, Ace would never win a McDonald's eating competition against me. Dude, you're a kid, my guy. You're not beating a grown fat man like myself in a McDonald's eating contest. I was winning McDonald's eating contests decades before you were born. Come on, man. Put some respect on elders. I would absolutely crush. Oh, wait. We're on the I'll leave you with this. Chips, I forgot. Does this count as a chip? I need to find I actually retrieved something as an appetizer to my Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Hold on, I'll show you my appetizer. Let me go get it. You want to talk about delicious? I don't know what category this would fit into, but the crunchy, I mean, listen, the puffs are delicious too, but the crunchy is a game changer. These are just, these are deadly. I could crush bags of these. Oh my God. There's 9 servings in a bag and they're 160 calories each. So it's at 1440, 1,440 calories per bag. Oof. Brutal. If these count as chips, these are towards the top. I don't know if you'd count these as chips, but if you do, these are high on the list for sure. I don't know the classification. I'm trying to get clarity. Honky Lip says Monday night is a victory. The only thing that sucks about these is how like disgusting they make your fingers. It's not, you know. The cheese dust is crazy. Love cheese balls. David says, Gibson Steakhouse in Chicago, only steak I had better than Luger's. Interesting. Jack, how many nuggets can you eat in one sitting? Like, are you talking about like if this was in the realm of a competition or just like, you know, normal day life? If we're talking about like push it to the limit, I think I could eat 100. I think I could easily eat 100. Okay, I do know. I know Joe T. One of my boys loves Joe T. Joe T and Chips, Jersey local, sold his snacks out of his trunk. Now it's all over corner shops in Jersey, and I even saw where I'm at. He spoke at a business course. Wow, and gave us free food. Legend. That's awesome. Definitely Chips. They're great, yeah. Maria's all over the country here. Bones in Atlanta is good, too. Chester Cheetah always brings it. Mario says maybe 60, 80 if I'm locked in. Yeah, I mean, wow, that's impressive for a kid. Goldfish are very good. David does 100. Seriously, yeah, I think I could. A kid is telling you he could eat 60 and 80. Come on, man. Yeah, listen, guys, I'm not doing this for, I'm not playing out here. I take my food very seriously. And if we put a competition on it, competition is different. Yeah, Mario, I've been fat a long time, kid. There's levels to this game. How are there so many calories in Cheetos? These ones are not air. These are not the puffed. These are the crunchy. You see the crunchy? They're more dense. They're more dense, and they're just fried junk. Favorite pastry? Favorite pastry? Probably the St. Joseph Zapelas. And then a lobster. Lobster tail might be number 2. Porterhouse Rare is always good, too. So, hey, Russo, Polish girls are crazy. We're ordering food at some joint, and long story short, waitress is only looking at me because I'm ordering. Wifey goes, what are you going to look at him the whole time, or me too? Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a fiery one. That's a fiery one. Landon said, me and my friend ate 120 nuggets and Wendy's once. Wow. Favorite soup? You guys are coming with some favorite soup? Italian wedding. Italian wedding soup. Jack, would you buy the new Doritos or Cheetos without the food dye? Yeah, I don't care about that. I'll eat it with or without the food dye. I'm committed to the cause. If I'm going to eat junk food, let it rip. Stick is the ace. You and your entire immediate family versus the 99 2000 Devils. No, the Devils would easily pound us. I don't have any other. I have some respectable eaters in my family, but they're not at my level. And even if they were, the 99 2000 Devils have some savages. French onion soup, I'll eat it, but I'm not a huge fan. You definitely need the cheese on it. Cheetos are good, but for some reason, McDonald's nuggets aren't filling until you eat one more and feel like you ate a horse. Well, first of all, they're not even real meat. Like, they're pretty gross. I mean, I don't want to gross you out, but if you do the research on McDonald's, pretty much everything, I don't even know how it's legal. It's not even food. It's basically just a bunch of chemicals that you're buying. Oh, man, pastries are the classic black and white cookie. Again, I'll eat it, but that's not going to be my pick. Stanislav, I love tiramisu. I like tiramisu as well. Cheetos Crunchies can't beat that. No, you can't. What's my Wawa quick check order? Most of the time, it would be a roast beef, provolone, lettuce, tomato, mayo. At a place like that, that's usually the safe pick for me. The old roast beef, provolone. Matzo ball soup is also very good. Wawa is a convenience store that has like a deli in it. They're now in New Jersey. David, favorite appetizer at an Italian restaurant? Oof. I'm not going to lie. A lot of times at an Italian restaurant, I will order a pasta as an appetizer. Back to the vodka conversation. Like, at plenty of restaurants, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to get that penny vodka appetizer and that chicken parm entree. How you doing? Stanislav, is the 13? Is that the roast beef or the Italian? I know it's one of them. I forget which one's which. I think the roast beef might be 6. Is 13 the Italian? Best soup is shark fin soup? Oh, my God. Mario, I didn't think it was real meat, but oh, well, I got to take advantage until I'm too old for that one junk. It's true. Eat all the garbage when you're a kid. For real. Chocolate chip cookies are good. Plain chocolate chip cookie with no nuts. I'm not a nuts in the chocolate guy either. I don't want nuts in anything. Whenever my mother makes brownies, a lot of times she'll put nuts in it. And I'm like, why? No one wants the nuts in it. And she's like, I like the nuts better. I'm like, you're going to eat one brownie and I'm going to eat the rest of the tray. And so I have to suffer through the other 27 brownies with nuts in them because you wanted one that had nuts in it. I was like, can't you just sprinkle the nuts in like one corner of the tray and then you eat that one little piece? Because inevitably I am going to eat the entire tray. It's a struggle. I don't want nuts in any of my chocolate stuff. Yeah, okay. Chinese restaurants have shrimp appetizers. Not a shrimp guy. I have not been to Italy. I'm hoping to go for the Olympics in a couple months. I should be there. Ironing out some details for the Winter Olympics. The Italian, okay. I don't like Mike's way. Mike likes too much stuff. Mike puts everything on it. It's too much stuff for me. All right, that's it. We're completely derailed. I'm heartbroken. The New Jersey Devils laid a disgusting egg tonight in Philadelphia, losing to the Flyers by a score of 6-3, and have now lost 3 games in a row and look completely lost. Have me questioning my entire existence right now. My entire existence. And hopefully we see a much better outing Monday night at the Rock, because we're in dangerous times right now. Without Jack Hughes, this team looks completely disheveled and tragically bad. I don't know. It's terrible. It's terrible. But shout out to everyone for coming out on the losing night. Cheers to all of you. Please hit that thumbs up for your boy on the way out. A lot of stuff in the works. Yeah, and I'll be back very soon. But I'm a little bit devastated right now. I'm a little bit devastated. I'm not gonna lie. It sucks. Hopefully we see a much better team on Monday. Hopefully we get some good news soon and Jack comes back sooner than anticipated. Maybe there's some special healing powers with that little pop star girl, Tate McRae. Maybe she has healing energy that can really help bring him back to the lineup sooner than later. But that's it, guys. I'm going to go eat my Ben & Jerry's, cry myself to sleep, and count down till Monday where they get back at it and hopefully rebound from the tragedy that was tonight. Disgusting performance. It really was. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.